KSL News Radio,
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Questions are still left unanswered in the resignation of Washington County Sheriff Nate Brooksby, who has now been given a massive severance. KSL News Radio's Cameron Elliott has the details.
An anonymous letter to the Washington County Commission triggered this sequence of events, according to the St. George News. The letter apparently detailed wrongdoings by the sheriff's office as well as with Sheriff Brooksby himself. It was forwarded to the county attorney's office and the Utah Attorney General's office, and neither of them agreed to investigate the claims, but the county commission did say they would be conducting an independent investigation. Washington County commissioners say they informed Brooksby of the allegations and planned investigation, and he promptly offered his resignation, accompanied by a request for severance.
According to the St. George News, the agreement was signed the same day with a $100,000 severance attached. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump's executive order on birthright citizenship is being argued before the Supreme Court right now. That, of course, are protesters gathered outside the court. Inside the court, President Trump is in attendance. He's the first sitting president to attend a Supreme Court hearing. Your money at this moment, the Dow up 415 points today to 46,757. Coming up, the rain continues today, although it's supposed to dry up sometime through the middle of the day. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 9:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
I'm Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. Wellness starts at home. At Arctic Spas, we have what you need for home wellness. Hot tubs provide physical and mental relaxation, improve circulation, and stimulate better sleep, all while giving the perfect time to connect with loved ones. Swim spas and all-weather pools provide at-home, low-impact exercise, a break from gravity, and family fun. Cold tubs provide muscle recovery, reduce soreness, and provide the best mental boost. Saunas help you recover, detox, and improve your cardiovascular health. This can all be done at your home, ready whenever you are, and you can find it all at Arctic Spas. We are here to help you relax, exercise, and recover. We make it easy for you. You can find out more at ArcticSpasUtah.com or stop by one of our 3 stores covering all of Utah in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. Arctic Spa, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
Most financial advisors only manage your money. They refer you out for taxes. They refer you out for estate planning. They refer you out when things get complicated. Did they really vet that person? Or did they meet once, exchange business cards, and call it a partnership? A referral isn't accountability. It's a handoff. When your investments, taxes, and estate plan are built separately, gaps happen, and those can cost money. At Trajan, we didn't build a referral network. We built a family office for all. Wealth, tax, estate. One team delivering coordinated planning, once reserved for the ultra-wealthy. If you want real coordination and not just introductions, call Trajan Wealth today.
Call Trajan today at 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900. 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Other services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Let's get another update from Cormac Bone.
Multiple crashes and wet roadways causing these delays on I-15 in Utah and Salt Lake County. Northbound I-15 slow in Springville from 400 south up to 1400 north. And again, both directions of I-15 slow at Center Street in Provo and near Pleasant Grove Boulevard. Southbound I-15 just a little slow as you come up the hill to the point of the mountain. And northbound I-15, we do still see these delays from about 4500 South Murray up to the I-80-201 interchange. We also do have a new crash on northbound I-215's west belt blocking a right shoulder just before the 201 interchange. Building your dream home, Camson Electric specializes in custom residential electrical work with precision, quality, and clean design. From planning to final walkthrough, they power it all. Visit CamsonElectric.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, the rain's going to continue throughout the day today and into tomorrow. You can expect more snow in the mountains as well. Cottonwoods have already gotten 8 inches and could get up to 24. Expect highs across the valley today in the 60s only. Right now, 47 degrees and raining in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, this is a really interesting day at the United States Supreme Court. President Trump is even attending arguments, and it's the first time, Holly, in modern history, I think in 200 years, that a sitting president has attended
any history
Supreme Court arguments. And of course, they're hearing the arguments regarding the administration's executive order, which was issued in January, which would effectively change what we know of as birthright citizenship, which is contained in the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution since 1868. We do have with us Kelsey Dallas from SCOTUS Blog, who's there and has been listening. Kelsey, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So there is a lot going on, and there have been a lot of arguments from the justices. It appears so far that most of the argument has been by the Solicitor General. In other words, the argument in favor of the Trump administration. Is that as far as the arguments have gone so far?
Right. The argument started at 8 a.m. Mountain Time, and Solicitor General Dijon Sauer was at the mic first, is how I would normally put it. And so his time is just now wrapping up. Initially, he had a chance to give an opening statement, answer sort of free-for-all questions from the justices, and then go through a final question round where the justices one by one can ask their final questions in order of seniority. And we are just now wrapping that up, at which point the attorney for those challenging the executive order on birthright citizenship will go to the mic and probably have about an hour as well. So we're looking at wrapping up maybe about an hour from now.
I guess I'm interested personally, Kelsey, about the questions by the two most conservative justices. Did you get a sense from either of them? Because it seems like the weight of the argument that I've heard so far is against the administration's position. But did you get a sense that there were some justices that were maybe leaning toward following Trump's executive order?
So as you said, it seems as if most of the justices are skeptical of the constitutionality of the executive order, meaning that they would rule against Trump and sort of protect birthright citizenship as we know it. That was established going into the argument that it felt like this was probably a losing proposition by the Trump administration. But in argument, we have to be careful because the Supreme Court doesn't really ask softball questions. Their job is to ask pretty tough questions of both sides. And so you can hear the first hour of an argument and say, wow, that went horribly for the Trump administration, and then get to the end of the argument and say, that went horribly for everyone. So we have to sort of take this with a grain of salt until we hear how the challenger's argument goes. As you noted, the two most conservative members of the court, Justice Thomas and Justice Alito, spoke just like the other justices with Sauer, asked him questions. One of our experts for SCOTUS Blog rated them a 4 on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being supporting the administration and 10 being against the administration. And that means that they actually seemed somewhat in the middle. maybe potentially going to side with other justices in ruling against the Trump administration. So it's like they were asking maybe the friendliest questions of the Solicitor General, but still not softballs.
So, Kelsey, I have a question about the president being there. What's the background of presidents not going, and why would President Trump break with that?
Great question. As you noted in your intro, President Trump is the first sitting president to be at an argument. I think there are a number of reasons why presidents typically wouldn't attend. One just being that they might be a distraction, as Trump acknowledged when he initially brought up the idea of attending the argument on his tariffs in November. He ultimately said, oh, never mind, I think I would just be a distraction. The other thing is that when you are in the courtroom for these arguments, you're essentially there for 2 or more hours without your phone, without anything more than just like a notepad. So it's like attending some sort of Broadway play or something where you can't really be in tune with what's happening in the Oval Office when you're sitting there. So it's hard for a president to give up that chunk of his schedule to be at the argument. I think Trump wanted to signal that this case is extremely important to him. The executive order on birthright citizenship that's before the court is one that he signed within hours of returning to office in January 2025. It's a key part of sort of his policy push on immigration in general. And so I think he just wanted to say, this matter that matters so much that I'm going to take the time to be here. Now, the question is, does it potentially work against him to show up because the justices are uncomfortable with that type of seeming pressure on them from the president or disruption to their typical routine? Because as you might imagine, the court has its own security, but that has to be taken to a new level when the president is coming into the courtroom. And so I think it could put the justices a bit on edge. But legal experts with SCOTUS Blog do not expect it to sway the ruling at all. It just might make today's argument feel unique.
I just have a follow-up. Is there a sense that he's doing it to maybe intimidate them into making a decision that's favorable to him? And one of the reasons I say that is because yesterday he was posting on social media and he called them all stupid.
Well, it's been very interesting since February 20th when the court released the tariffs ruling against the Trump administration. Trump has spoken repeatedly at press conferences, at gatherings with other Republicans, on social media about how frustrated he is with the justices who ruled against him, particularly Justice Gorsuch and Barrett, whom he nominated to the court. He's very upset and remains upset. I don't know that I would go so far as saying he's there to intimidate them. As I said, it could just be a show of this matters. I'm doing everything I can to try to support this executive order. If he is coming there in this mode of intimidation, it would likely backfire because the Supreme Court works very hard to be an apolitical organization, to not be swayed by political pressure. And so I think that if Trump appeared to be there in that effort, the justices who were maybe tipping against his executive order on birthright citizenship would feel even more convinced that they should rule against it.
Kelsey, let me get your take on this, and we've only got about a minute left, but some people have argued that the Trump administration has already got a win on this case, and in the sense that when the administration issued this executive order, various courts around the country were issuing injunctions, and that caused the problem that the Supreme Court had to address, which they called the universal injunction. The Supreme Court said, no, we're not going to allow that anymore. And I think the administration felt like that was a win all by itself. And I know that's a little bit complicated, but do you think there's any sense of that?
Oh, that was certainly a win, not on really the birthright citizenship executive order, because immediately it was put back on hold by other types of cases that were sort of falling through a loophole of that June 2025 ruling. So that would be like class action lawsuits that enabled it to be put on hold for all babies who might have been affected by it. However, it's very significant that in other types of battles over different policy moves and executive orders, that courts can no longer issue these blanket universal injunctions. And so if you follow the different rulings against the Trump administration on all sorts of issues like funding cuts or people being fired or name an issue, it's now you're seeing these rulings that are just saying as applied to the people who brought this lawsuit instead of putting things on hold nationwide.
Thank you so much. That was Kelsey Dallas with SCOTUS Blog watching the oral arguments today to deal with birthright citizenship. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some other court orders that went against the president's administration, and we'll talk about what happened yesterday. Stay with us.
It was opening night at Hale Center Theater for The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Victor Hugo's classic tale. I was with my son, Ian, and it was nothing short of spectacular. The staging, the costuming, the music, it's simply breathtaking. And, of course, the actors and the voices. You have to see The Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's on the main stage right now at Hale Center Theater. So many of the scenes are never to be forgotten. For example, when Frollo is just struggling with his passion for Esmeralda and his soul, the flames and the tension on the stage is unbelievable. And to see the Hunchback up in the tower with the bells, don't miss Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's underway right now at Hale Center Theater. And continuing, Peter Pan Goes Wrong. That's on the Jewel Box stage and Hallmarked on the Beehive stage. Get your tickets now. hct.org. Don't miss the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry you own isn't new. It's inherited. A ring from a grandmother. A necklace tucked away in a drawer. Pieces full of memories, but no longer your style. Duke's Jeweler specializes in reimagining family heirlooms into custom pieces you'll actually wear and love. Duke's on-site jewelers and designers work with you one-on-one to honor the original story while creating something fresh, modern, and uniquely yours. From resetting diamonds into new engagement rings to transforming multiple heirloom pieces into one stunning design. Every project is crafted with care, precision, and intention. Don't let meaningful jewelry sit unused. Let it live on beautifully. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville or online at dukesjewelers.com. Duke's Jewelers, where old stories become new treasures. dukesjewelers.com.
Meet Morgan Jones. Morgan is about to step into a world unknown to most, thanks to Progressive's Renters Insurance, a place of fresh linens and turn-down service. You see, Morgan temporarily vacated her apartment and has gone to a hotel because a pipe burst in her apartment. A pipe that made her sense of reality and apartment ceiling all come crashing down. Luckily, Morgan checked into Progressive's Protection Zone. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers.
Taxes was waiting on the refund you needed yesterday.
All right, your car repair is going to run about $3,000.
Now Taxes is getting back on the road with TurboTax and Credit Karma, where you can get your refund up to 5 days faster and get personalized guidance to take every dollar further. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Deposit a federal refund into Credit Karma Money account and early submission of refund data by IRS required. Terms apply. Banking services provided by MVB Bank, Inc. Member FDIC. Credit Karma is not a bank.
Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit. Make a plan. Be informed. Learn how at www.ready.gov. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Ad Council.
Salt Lake City, this is your final boarding call, extended by popular demand. Titanic, the exhibition is sailing away soon. Don't miss your last chance to experience the heartbreaking and heroic stories of her passengers and crew. See the incredible artifacts before the doors close forever on April 19th at the Shops at Southtown in Sandy. Get your tickets before they're gone at thetitanicexhibition.com. That's thetitanicexhibition.com.
This is Dylan Gunther of the Utah Mammoth. Scoring goals is what I do. Driving a BMW from BMW of Utah, that's how I roll. Proud to be a Utahn, drive elevated.
Are you thinking about buying medicine online? A search for online pharmacies yields more than 20 million results. But which ones can you trust? Medicines bought from unlicensed online pharmacies can be dangerous. You may get a fake drug, your condition may get worse, or you may experience a bad reaction. Don't put your health at risk. To learn how to find an online pharmacy that's safe and legal, visit fda.gov/BeSafeRx. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
The new Inside Sources.
Birthright citizenship aside, the Trump administration did not have a good day in the courts yesterday, from ballroom blues to civil lawsuits and funding for Big Bird. Let's talk about what happened, Greg.
Yeah, let's do it. First of all, a federal judge issued an order regarding his ballroom. Let's hear more from Stephen Portnoy on that.
There's this 1912 law that says that no building or structure can be constructed on federal land in Washington, D.C. without express authority of Congress. And that's something the judge really seized on. He also pointed to the fact that there's a big legal question mark over the funding mechanism. The president has said that taxpayer money's not on the line here, that it's all private funds, $400 million to build this ballroom. But Judge Leon has described that as an end run around congressional oversight. And he said it's Congress that holds the keys to the nation's property. The president isn't the owner of the White House, but merely its steward. The judge says this is really simple for the president to dig himself out of this hole. All he has to do is go to the House and Senate and ask for what would really be maybe a sentence or two in a simple bill that would authorize the construction of the ballroom on the White House grounds. And the judge said that if that were to happen, the country would get a sense of what it looks like for the branches to work as they're intended.
So I mean, it's a quote colorful order, and I think the whole thing here where he's saying you're not the owner of the White House, you're its steward, right? I think that's really key here. So of course the president's response was to say we're going to appeal, and that it's stupid, and the judge was wrong. And he says the White House ballroom and the Trump Kennedy Center, which are under budget, ahead of schedule, and will be among the most magnificent buildings of their kind anywhere in the world, get sued by a group that was cut off by government years ago. Doesn't make much sense, right? I mean,
yeah, but the judge's ruling, I have to say, is I mean, if you think about it, let's say that the president, any president, decides, I think I'm going to change the Oval Office, and I'm going to, at my own expense, and I'm going to put, Sesame Street characters on the walls and all that stuff. And they're saying, look, it's not your property. It's not something for you to, even if you raise the money, even if Congress isn't paying for it.
It's kind of like, he's renting.
Right, yes. You're a guest, and it's the public's property, and you don't necessarily, according to this judge, and I tend to agree, and even if this ballroom is a magnificent thing, I mean, just do it the right way. Just go through Congress. And even the judge said, just take a sentence or two for them to say, yeah, great idea. Let's authorize the construction of a ballroom. I don't know whether they would at this point or whether they even have much choice. But first of all, what I think upset a lot of people, and then we can move on, is the fact that before anybody really had a handle on what was going on, demolition came in and destroyed that particular part of the White House. And it was like, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on here? Well, I'm building a ballroom, but he had already destroyed that wing.
And I think that's an approach that the president has taken in multiple different spaces, is destroy first and then ask permission later. So he also has indicated he's going to work on fixing, quote, the absolutely filthy reflecting pool between the Lincoln Memorial and Washington Monument. He said he's going to work with Secretary of the Interior Doug Burgum to do that. Again, he also wants to have a new triumphal arch. And remember, his proposal has already been struck down once because it's too big. So
that's one.
That's one.
That's
one case.
It didn't go particularly well.
So look, I want to talk about this one about civil suits over the January 6th Capitol riot. So on yesterday, there were civil lawsuits seeking to hold him liable for the violence at the Capitol. And one of the things that the administration has said is, well, I was given immunity, right? President Trump said, I've been given immunity by the Supreme Court, so you can't even sue me. So what happened here is a district court judge ruled that the evidence produced so far was political in nature and not subject to the immunity the Supreme Court has found for a president's official acts. So, quote, President Trump has not shown that the speech reasonably can be understood as falling within the outer perimeter of his presidential duties. The content of the ellipse speech confirms it is not covered by official acts immunity.
So when you talk about governmental immunity and this extension to the president's immunity, which has been reaffirmed by the Supreme Court already once, it really is limited to acts associated with your your presidency, with your duties. When we think about police officers' immunity, as long as you're acting as a police officer, you're immune. But when you're acting outside the scope of that, and so I think what the judge is saying here, how does this January 6th in any way involve your act as the president of the United States, encouraging this or
right?
Because it was. Let's face it, it was a horrible thing for the country, no matter how it ends up or what happened. It wasn't the kind of thing that you would expect would ever be a part of a presidential duty.
Right.
I don't know how you could even define it as part of the presidential obligation.
One of the things I'm looking at, and this is a Politico article, is they say, look, we understand this is going to play out over a number of years. It could be 7 more years or more before these suits are resolved. So, okay, I want to talk about Big Bird. It's not just Big Bird. But PBS and NPR, if you remember, their funding was cut because the Trump administration did not like what they were broadcasting. Well, a federal judge ruled yesterday again that it violates the First Amendment by seeking to punish 2 news outlets for speech he doesn't like. So he said that the Trump administration was permanently blocked from enforcing 2 provisions of an executive order that he signed in May, which directed all federal agencies to cut off funding to NPR and PBS.
Yeah, that one's interesting, too, because I wouldn't have expected that to be on First Amendment grounds. I thought that was another one that they were going to come back and say, wait a minute, this is not part of your executive authority. This is something Congress does because we're talking about funding. We're talking about, the purse, and that's controlled by Congress. But this was interesting because now they're saying that this is a First Amendment violation,
yeah.
And because he doesn't like their particular viewpoint, their particular message. He has made clear, and other members of his administration have made clear, that NPR and PBS are more left-leaning.
That's what he said, right? So he said that those news outlets are, quote, arms of the radical left Democratic Party. But the judge said, look, I understand that you may not like them. However, you do not have the ability to punish them, right? So he said this: it is difficult to conceive of clearer evidence that a government action is targeted at viewpoints that the president does not like and seeks to quench. The executive order seeks to exclude NPR and PBS from receiving federal grants or other funding because they have provided more positive coverage of his political opponents than of his party and allies because of their news coverage, in his view, tips left, and because they were critical of them. And he said, to be sure, the president is entitled to criticize this or any other reporting, and he can express his own views as he sees fit. However, he may not use his governmental power to direct federal agencies to exclude plaintiffs from receiving grants or other funding in retaliation.
And the judge actually used some of the president's own words to support this when he said that these outlets are, quote, arms of the radical left Democratic Party. So, I mean, he sort of tipped his hand a little bit when he said, when he's trying to claim today that it wasn't for political reasons, that it was for other reasons. That's another one that, I mean, these are not going well, and neither are the arguments today in terms of birthright citizenship going well for the administration. But I mean, he's had his share of wins too, and he'll continue to.
Yeah, he has. I'm just saying that yesterday didn't go particularly well for the Trump administration with judges, and we didn't even really touch on the one that addresses immigrants, but I think we should just really briefly. So, U.S. District Court judge said that the Department of Homeland Security acted unlawfully last year when it sent a notice to over 900,000 immigrants who used a CBP One app that said it's time for you to leave the United States. He said that is illegal and you need to restore their legal status here in the United States.
Yeah, that one's an interesting one too, because I wasn't sure. I hadn't expected that one to be. I followed some of the others, but that was a different one. That the administration must restore the legal status of those individuals. And there's a significant number of people involved in that.
There are. When you talk about almost 1 million people, I mean, when you say we want people to do things the right way and then you change the rules midstream, that, in my opinion, is problematic.
Yeah. Well, when we come back after the break, Redfin is reporting that more than half of the U.S. homes listed for sale, more than half of U.S. homes listings for sale. So what can you do?
Stale. They're stale.
They're stale.
They're just
stale.
For sale or stale.
If
so there you go.
your home is on the market for too long,
yeah,
what can you
right.
do?
That's
we'll talk about that
that's
when
exactly
we come back.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. It's no secret. It's been a record-breaking dry and warm winter. Scientists at the U of U weighed in on our future here in the West.
I'm optimistic, but I don't think it's going to be easy.
That was Professor of Hydrology at the University of Utah, Paul Brooks. He says there's reason to be optimistic.
One of the reasons I moved here is because I think Utah is one of the best placed locations to study and understand the interactions, and best poised to get all the people working together to work in a common direction.
If you want inspiration for your outdoor spaces, there's many great resources such as the Utah State Extension, Conservation Water Park, and Red Butte Garden. KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson says we're finally getting some much-needed rain, and we still have several more waves of this storm to come.
Rain holds on through the mid-morning, it looks like, for a lot of locations. So the position of this low has dropped just a little further south, allowing for central Utah to get in on the action. Probably some sunshine before the next round of showers try to move in. Thursday, 11 a.m. tomorrow, cold front, snow in the mountains, rain in the valleys. Might even get a couple of snowflakes try to mix in with that cold front. Into Friday morning, it lingers with maybe a little bit of the lake turning on.
This storm should drop a significant amount of snow on the mountains before it moves out on Friday. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Democratic lawmakers say they want to get to the bottom of a report claiming Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth tried to make a major investment before the Iran war began. More from ABC's Elizabeth Schulze.
Democratic lawmakers are now launching an investigation after that explosive report from the Financial Times. It claimed a broker for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth tried to make a multi-million-dollar investment into a fund with defense stocks weeks before the Iran war. So top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee writing in a letter to Hegseth, attempting to profit from a war you helped engineer using insider information is shocking and outrageous.
The House committee also sent letters to BlackRock and Morgan Stanley seeking more information. Your money at this moment, the Dow up 408 points today to 46,749. Coming up, the rain continues throughout today and really almost all the way till the weekend. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
At Uline, they know going the extra mile takes hard work. For companies pushing to go further, Uline will go the distance with you. 24/7, they answer the phone to get you the shipping and industrial supplies you need. Business can move fast. Unexpected large orders, adverse weather, new safety guidelines, and changing economic trends. Uline works hard keeping 41,000 items ready to ship, minimizing detours on your way to the extra mile. Visit uline.com.
I'm Congressman Mike Kennedy. For years, Utah families have paid too much for health care, groceries, and everyday essentials. I'm fighting for health care reform that puts patients first and lowers costs. I'm also working to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington because your tax dollars should be spent wisely. Fiscal responsibility means lower costs and a government that works for you. I'm Mike Kennedy, and I'll keep fighting for Utah families. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Progressive knows that for business owners, vacations hit different. But hey, at least you finally took a vacation. And look at that. You only answered 53 calls, 84 emails, onboarded 1 new hire, and covered for Chris while he's out on paternity leave, and you did it all from a kayak. Because you, my friend, know how to relax. All right, you may not know how to take a day off, but you do know both your personal and business auto insurance needs can be covered in one place with Progressive. So at least that's relaxing, right? Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states or situations.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you want to walk, play pickleball, and enjoy other fun activities to stay healthy, but you can't because of bad feet? Hi, this is Mike, and the Good Feet store wants to help.
I just had difficulty walking.
I tried them on in the store, and my foot felt so much better.
Do you keep buying new shoes and inserts with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet store.
Don't let bad feet, knees, or back problems get in the way of staying healthy and having fun.
Thanks to the Good Feet store, I bowl in 3 nights a week.
Get back to doing what you love. At the Good Feet store, we'll personally fit you with high-quality arch supports to maximize your comfort. Stop in the Good Feet store or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at uccu.com. Let's get another update with Cormac Bone.
Still a number of crashes in these wet roadways, but only one of them has any delays behind them. This is northbound Center Street in Provo. There's a crash blocking the right shoulder at the end of that on-ramp from Center Street to northbound I-15. Just a little slow there. Otherwise, I-15 looking pretty good through Utah County, maybe a little southbound slowing near Pioneer Crossing on southbound I-15. I-15 in Salt Lake County, clear from the point of the mountain almost all the way into downtown. You still have just a little bit of northbound I-15 slowing left over just as you pass the I-8201 interchange. And in Weber County, we do still have these delays on southbound I-15 in the construction zone in Roy. You deserve a home that feels like a sanctuary. Dreammaker Bath & Kitchen makes remodeling simple with one team, fixed pricing, and clear timelines. Schedule your consultation today at dreammakerremodel.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather forecast. The rain will continue throughout the day today and into tomorrow. You can also expect more snow in the mountains as well. Cottonwoods have already gotten up to 8 inches, and they could get as much as 24. Right now, it is 46 degrees and raining in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, if you are one of those people who put your home on the market and it's just sitting there, turns out your home listing might be stale. According to Redfin, more than half of U.S. home listings are stale, and by stale they mean it's been sitting on the market for over 60 days. That doesn't seem like an extraordinarily long time.
No, and we've talked with Russell Fawcett from the Stern team of Amada Real Estate a number of times about the norm, and I think he's told us 60 to 90 days is pretty normal. But we do have Russell on the line with us. Am I right in remembering, Russell, that is actually kind of average?
Yeah, when you look at it historically, so I think a lot of us, our memory only goes back to 2020, when we felt like normal was 14 days. But getting up to 60 days, we're seeing it continue to creep up because we're actually on average in Utah right now, we're at about 73 days.
If there are a number of homes on the market, if it's more of a buyer's market, what do you do? What do you tell your sellers for listing, like things that they should do to put their home a little bit more toward the forefront as people are looking at buying a home?
Yeah, so when selling a home, it really comes down to price for the condition that the home is in. Obviously, the location matters. So what they need to be looking at, honestly, is their competition, because even though some homes are taking longer, the ones that are priced correctly are going under contract. We're still seeing home sales every single week. And so, kind of what we're seeing, though, we do have some sellers that don't necessarily need to sell. And so, they're willing to sell if they get their price, but if they don't get their price, they'll just take it off the market. And so it really comes down to look at, what are the homes priced for around you, and make sure if in your area, 2 to 3 homes are selling every single week, make sure you're priced accordingly to be one of those homes that sell. Because otherwise, if you're number 10 on a list and there's only 3 buyers, your home's never going to sell.
So, Russell, I have a question that's based on weather. So regardless of the rain outside today, I feel like we're heading into a warm, dry, hot, dry summer, and that maybe lawns are not going to look so great. How does that play into homes staying on the market for longer periods of time?
Really where the weather affected us was by having a more mild winter. We had actually more buyers out this first quarter than we typically see, which, though, could play into some people that were planning on moving may have already made the move this winter. But as far as a brown lawn, I kind of think we're all going to have brown lawns. And so, still let's make sure we trim them and make them look good. But I don't foresee, having kind of drier weather affecting the market.
But does landscaping and the weather and the drought ever make a difference, or is that something that buyers aren't really putting at the forefront of what they're doing?
So landscaping absolutely will make a difference, and so you're still going to want to do things that make your home presentable. People start making a judgment the second they pull up to your house. And so, I would say, put some extra time in the flower beds, get some mulch or rock down, maybe xeriscape a little bit more of your property. I mean, do some things that absolutely make your home look, amazing and presentable. But I wouldn't worry about, we're all going to have to be water conscious this summer. And so, if there's a brown lawn, most of the time, grass is resilient. It's one of those things that if you ever get grass in the wrong place, it's hard to get it out. And so, the grass will come back. And I would just say, make sure you take the time to make your yard look presentable for sure.
So we're speaking with Russell Fawcett of the Stern team of Amada Real Estate. And Russell, if people are getting ready and they don't want their home to sit on the market for a long time, what is one of the things they can do to prepare for that?
Yeah, so the first thing right now, the biggest driver of, whether someone's buying a home or not is affordability. And so, yes, the payment and price is one piece of it. The other piece is going to be the condition. The buyer doesn't want to go in and have to make a ton of repairs. And so we definitely start with a checklist of making sure we go through the home. And if there's any deferred maintenance, anything that's broken, we want to make sure we've taken care of that because, a buyer doesn't want to come in and all of a sudden have, their payment of their rent double for their mortgage and have to do a bunch of repairs. And so they are looking for that move-in ready home that is presentable. And then ultimately, kind of that last domino is making sure you don't overprice, because if your neighbor's price for less for similar condition, they're going to buy the neighbor's home.
Russell, you're able to find and direct your buyers to lenders who are competitive right now. It seems like there are a lot of people out there that are really working it and advertising better rates. Are there some good rates out there right now for buyers?
There are, and I like to recommend get an opinion from two or three lenders. Make sure you are going in. They give you a good faith estimate. Make sure you're going in and you're getting the best product out there for the payments you're looking for. And then honestly, new construction. If you are you want that lowest interest rate, I would look into new construction, because with some of the national brands, they have, they buy up loans in bulk and they're able to offer those at much lower rates than maybe some of your traditional financing.
So, Russell, are you anticipating an average, a stale, or a vigorous market this summer?
A lot is going to have to. So we were definitely on pace, and this is, both in Utah and nationwide, we were pacing to have a very active market. A lot is going to depend on the war in Iran. How long is it going to drag out, and what are interest rates going to do? Because for most of the year, we were in the 5s, and now we are, approaching closer to 7, depending on your credit and all the different things. But we have seen the mortgage rates creep up again. And so if they stay in the mid to high 6s, it's going to be another deja vu year of fairly slow growth.
All right. Thank you so much. That was Russell Fawcett of the Stern team of Amada Real Estate. And remember, you can learn your home's true value in 30 seconds by visiting sternteam.com to find out more. When we come back, there's a topic that is super interesting to me. And look, I'm a fangirl of Amanda Dixon, and she's tackling an issue I think is super important. That's bridging political divides and doing it through a lens of faith. We're going to talk to Amanda when we come back.
Can you hear it? That's the sound of nature waking up in Box Elder County. Spring has sprung, and the first visitors are already here. From grebes to geese, Bear River Bird Refuge is alive with the sound of thousands of wings. And it's not just the birds who are invited. There's plenty for you to enjoy. Experience the world-class minerals at Crystal Hot Springs. Stand on the spot where the railroads joined and forged the destiny of a nation at Golden Spike National Historic Park. Check out the jaw-dropping murals up and down Tremonton's charming Main Street. The list goes on and on. Hungry? From fine dining to classic comfort food, Box Elder County has something that's sure to hit the spot. In Box Elder County, the air is fresher, the sky is wider, and spring is in full bloom. Come wake up your senses and plan your spring escape at visitboxeldercounty.com. Produced in partnership with the Utah Office of Tourism.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio, or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait, and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
It's spring. You get outside and it's obvious your house needs painting. Make an appointment with CertaPro Painters. They'll give you a free estimate quickly and at the right price. And they make the entire process easy with reliable updates and communication. They know how important your home is to you. True professionals, they're committed to quality and exceptional service at the right price. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated, so schedule your free estimate online at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C.
This Friday from 10 to 1, the movie show comes to Sound Sleep. But first, take time to learn about a better night's rest. Sound Sleep delivers oral appliance therapy that treats sleep apnea without the use of CPAP machines. They're professionally fit, warranted, and covered by most major medical insurance. End the days of a poor night's sleep. With offices from Clearfield to St. George, Sound Sleep will help. Call Sound Sleep at 801-716-8672 today.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
If you're struggling with your mortgage, there's a free government program that offers expert one-on-one advice about your mortgage options. Call 1-888-995-HOPE or visit makinghomeaffordable.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
Inside Sources.
Former federal judge Robert Griffith recently wrote in the Deseret News that the nation is more divided than at any time since the Civil War. But there are a growing number of political leaders who are using their faith to navigate this divide. And I am really, really interested in the conversation that the host of Utah's Morning News, Amanda Dixon, had as we get ready to go into LDS Conference Weekend. So, Amanda, you've got a special. You titled it Bridging Political Divides, Weathering Political Storms Through Faith. What made you want to look into this issue?
You know, I think the thing that sparked some of my interest was I saw the phrase, "What would Jesus do?" be used as a political insult. And it was just staggering to me that we would use "What would Jesus do?" to hit someone, to hurt someone. That felt so opposite of how I think about that phrase and that meaning. So I gathered one former state official, Francine Gianni, who was the head of the Department of Commerce under 5 or 6 governors, and then a current Republican representative, State Representative Anthony Lubay, and a Democratic representative, State Representative Rona Maunga, and I asked them, how do you handle bullies? How do you have difficult political conversations with colleagues or constituents or anything else that you have a lot of it? Well, both of you have a lot of experience with. And they said something really interesting. Well, many interesting things. But one of the interesting things they said was, I look at all people I am talking with as a child of God. So if that's your starting point, you are not going to speak to people in the way that so many of us have fallen prey to speaking to each other. You are not going to use demeaning, diminishing, critical, rude language. Even if you think it's acceptable, you will not use it because that person you're talking to is a child of God. And they talked about how it's more important that we learn how to listen than talk. And that really resonated with me. I teach a class at the university in public speaking. I wonder if I ought to be teaching a class in listening because we're so ready to make our next point. We're so ready to win the argument, to win the debate, to put somebody else down, that we have forgotten how to shut up. I'm included in that problem, that we need to just stop talking and listen.
Well, what would Jesus do as an insult is one thing, but it's also, I think, a guideline, isn't it, for some of our leaders to just back up and just ask themselves a question like that?
Yeah. And I think so. I think that in its traditional sense, it tries to get us back to compassion. What would be the loving, compassionate thing to do? How would I love my neighbor in this setting? But when it's used as an insult, I think we're in upside down land.
Yeah, I have not seen it used as an insult, and yet I'm not surprised by that, right? Because I've seen compassion used as an insult and empathy used as a bad word. Mm-hmm. It's so, it just seems so foreign to me to have that kind of attitude. And I really was struck by the Judge Griffith, who said we're more divided any time since the Civil War.
And you feel it. We all feel it.
It feels like that.
And our young people feel it.
Yeah.
They see it in the language that their parents use, that their political leaders use. They see it everywhere, and they begin to normalize speaking to each other this way. And yet, I have faith in the younger generations because I think in some ways maybe they'll rebel against the sharp language of their parents and grandparents by speaking more compassionately and listening more critically to each other, I hope.
You know, as our state has grown, Amanda, the percentage of the population who are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has decreased.
Yeah.
And we always thought there would come a point when it became such a minority that we would be at a different political landscape. But it hasn't happened that way. And in fact, most of our our political leaders are still active LDS church members.
Yes.
Do you think that plays very much into what happens, for example, what just happened on the Hill recently and the dialogue that people are having with each other?
I don't personally, Greg, because I see a variety of viewpoints in members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, as I do in members of other religions, of Jewish people or Catholic people. What I see is that there are extremes in both parties that are the loudest and get the most press coverage. You know, one of the things that that these people on my panel said is that we'll cover their bills when there's something about them that is controversial, and then we forget. We don't come back when that controversial language is removed. We don't come back and we are guilty of this, are we not, in the media? That because we are a business and we need attention, and so we have to play for likes on social media like everybody else does who's in business. So we focus on the controversial instead of on the collaborative. The collaborative is not as exciting.
Right.
And so maybe I see it more political than religious based.
So one of the words that has also been weaponized, I think, is unity. And I think some people misunderstand that to mean identical viewpoints. Can you talk to us about that?
Yes. Oh, I love that point. Because, yes, we don't have to agree to be unified. As an American people, as Utahns, as human beings, we can disagree on all kinds of things, and we have since the beginning. I mean, of course, there are examples of ugly political fights going back to the beginning of this country and in every other nation on earth. But we have had times when we have believed in the baseline value of our fellow human beings and in our common purpose. And in the United States, freedom has been one of our common purposes. And that unity that comes from sharing a common purpose does not require that I agree with you on any specific point, but it does require that I respect you, Holly. And that's something we've lost, I think.
Was there anything that surprised you about the interviews that you had with these leaders? Was there anything that came out that you maybe hadn't thought about before you started?
The two representatives who are currently serving on Utah's Capitol Hill were younger. And Francine and I are a little older.
Right.
And Francine said near the end of the interview that listening to those two legislators talk renewed her faith in the future.
Oh, wow.
That really, and because I felt it too. I thought they're opposite parties. They spoke to each other with respect. They spoke to each other's ideas with respect. It's part of the reason why I'm hopeful about the future, because I think maybe it's some of us who are older and stuck in our ways that doggone it, we're right, is sort of where we come at every issue from, instead of tell me more about why you feel that way.
So when I really like the idea of learn to listen better. When we're having a dialogue, what maybe is one tip you picked up or that you already have that you share with your students about how we can have conversations with people we don't agree with, but do it in a way that comes from a faith lens?
I would say that the first thing is to not talk for the first 10 minutes. If you're having a conversation with someone who you are diametrically opposed on an issue you both feel strongly about, I strongly suggest you listen for the first 10 minutes without speaking. Don't have your facial expressions be saying, like you're ready to jump in. Listen with an empathetic, interested, curious expression. Don't say anything for 10 minutes. And if they're still going, keep listening until they have, and then begin to try and make sure you understand. It's like the famous St. Francis of Assisi, poem, seek first to understand before you are understood. Then, if you still disagree, share your opinion. But I think it's that early listening that can come from a place of prayer or faith that will help the conversation.
Amanda, tell our listeners how and when they can hear this special and how you sort of broke it down, because we know when we've done a couple, not nearly as many as you have, you kind of divided it in segments a little bit by topic. What did you do, and when can we listen to this?
It's Sunday at 1 o'clock, so it's right before the final session of conference, so Sunday at 1 o'clock. And I broke it into just questions that were of interest to me. I mean, one of the things I wanted to ask them was, is prayer a part of your government service? And the answer from all three was yes. Mm-hmm. And I think you'll find it interesting to hear how prayer works in helping them make difficult decisions while legislating or while directing government.
Interesting. This Sunday at 1 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
And it's right before the last session.
Right.
On KSL News Radio.
Yeah. Well, we've only got a few seconds left, but what did you get from it? Because you brought it to the, okay, good.
Hope, Greg. Hope for the future. Because we need to move in that direction. And we need to make speaking to each other with disrespect uncommon and unacceptable again.
And I think it's a time in our country when something like this is really valuable. Thank you so much, Amanda. Thanks so much. That was Amanda Dixon, host of Utah's Morning Show. When we come back after the break, the Department of Homeland Security has issued a pause on the purchase of a new warehouse to be used as an immigration holding facility here in Salt Lake. We'll discuss the reasons for that and what could it mean for Salt Lake.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour, the Department of Homeland Security has issued a pause on the purchase of new warehouses to be used as immigration holding facilities. They're going to scrutinize the contracts signed under former Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. The Associated Press says they're getting this information from a senior Homeland Security official. The official spoke on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak publicly on the matter. We're working to see if this move will have any impact on the warehouse already purchased here in Salt Lake City, and we'll bring you updates as we get them. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump's attorneys have been presenting arguments to the U.S. Supreme Court this morning about why the president wants restrictions on birthright citizenship for people who give birth in the country but aren't citizens themselves.
You know, obviously, what about the children of temporary visitors? It has this, it's another one of these statements that has this appeal to a background understanding that we all agree that the temporary visitors, their children, do not become citizens.
President Trump attended today's hearing in person. The court is expected to issue a ruling on this case this summer. Your money at this moment, the Dow up 451 points today to 46,792. Coming up, rain and then more rain. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
How was your break? It was great until I stopped for gas. Prices have gone up almost $1 with no end in sight. I might have to start watching how much I drive.
That's exactly why I use Upside. I never pay full price for gas with the free Upside app.
Upside?
Yes, Upside. It's the free app that gives you cash back just for buying the gas you're already buying. So, even with the rising gas prices, I'll never have to limit how much I drive.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Just last year, I made over $200 with the Upside app.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app right now.
Download the free Upside app to earn cash back on the gas you're already buying. Use promo code THRIVE25 for an extra 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank account, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code THRIVE25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first fill-up. That's THRIVE25.
Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Kitchen and bath transformations start with AMC Building Materials. AMC Building Materials is a large kitchen cabinet and countertop supplier serving both wholesale and retail customers. AMC offers factory direct pricing on all interior remodeling materials, giving you exceptional value without sacrificing quality. Most standard items are available for quick payment and pickup right away. AMC Building Materials provides professional service, free design, and free on-site measurements, along with expert installation by top AMC professionals. From bold kitchen designs to beautiful functional bathrooms, AMC delivers outstanding value with styles you'll love. And best of all, most projects can be completed within just 10 days. Come experience beauty you can see, quality you can feel, and service you can trust. Get directions to the new AMC Building Materials showroom at 3678 South 700 West today and schedule your free estimate. Visit amckitchenslc.org. That's amckitchenslc.org.
Amanda, I've got a cruise planned in a couple of months, and I was thinking about the other people who may have cruises planned coming up a few months from now, and why right now would be the best time for them to begin their weight loss journey on Soda Weight Loss.
If you started right now, you could lose 20, 30, 40 pounds before June.
That's right.
I lost 37 pounds in 3 months, 3.5 years ago. And the beauty about soda is it's not a quick fix. This is learning that is going to last you the rest of your life and help you be healthy.
Your clothes fit better. Your energy comes back. You don't get winded going upstairs.
Yeah.
Things that maybe you don't even realize. When I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, it felt like a transformation.
You learn what works for your body so you don't get addicted to shots or drugs. You just work with a nutritionist who's going to teach you how to keep the weight off for a lifetime.
Right now, you should go check out sodaweightloss.com, see all the thousands of before and after pictures, or speak with a nutritionist by giving a call 866-800-SODA.
Soda Weight Loss. Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU. Love where you bank. Here's Cormac Bone.
We do have a crash on southbound I-15 in Layton. This is just before Layton Parkway exit. It looks like they're blocking a right shoulder, causing some delays that are reaching back toward Hillfield Road. And we also do have a crash on southbound I-215's transition ramp to westbound I-80. You cannot get to westbound I-80. You can still take that ramp and go to eastbound I-80, but westbound ramp is closed. In Utah County, the crashes that we had on I-15 have cleared off the road. Just a little bit of southbound slowing on either side of Pleasant Grove Boulevard. Spring is calling. Answer in Cedar City and Bryan Head. Head south, try something different. A one-tank getaway that gives you more vacation. Plan now at visitcedarcity.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather this morning, showers will break up this afternoon, but then the second wave of the storm hits tomorrow morning, bringing cooler temperatures along with. Today's high should only be 59, but only 50 tomorrow. Right now it's 46 degrees and raining in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
It's been now several weeks since the Department of Homeland Security purchased a large warehouse on, I think, 29 acres in Salt Lake City, not far from the airport, an industrial part of the city, which we had been told was going to be for an immigration holding facility, something like 7,500 individuals. I've even heard estimates, Holly, that there could be as many as 10,000 people housed there. Of course, it raised a lot of concerns, a lot of questions. Well, now, maybe related to this, maybe unrelated, the Department of Homeland Security has issued a pause on the purchase of new warehouses to be used as immigration holding facilities. And of course, that makes you wonder, does that change in any way what happened here in Salt Lake City? Because the purchase is done. The money has exchanged hands, and that now is under the water under the bridge. But what does it mean for the ongoing work on that facility?
Well, the same information about a pause on future purchases is also indicating, so this is an Associated Press article, but they're basically talking about somebody from within the Department of Homeland Security who said, not only are we pausing future purchases, but we're also looking at the recent purchases. There were 11 in different states. Over $1 billion was spent by Kristi Noem as the DHS head. So now that she's out and the new Department of Homeland Security, Mark Wayne Mullins, has been confirmed, he has indicated in a couple of different ways, including during his confirmation hearing, that he would have a different approach, and he wanted to be good community partners. So one of the things that they're doing is looking at these immigration holding facilities. So I will say this. One of the things that has impressed me so far about Secretary Mullen is that he has emphasized more than once that he wants to work with local communities. And he says, he said this was part of the Associated Press article. It's important that we're talking to the communities, and if we have additional needs, we can work with the cities. But most municipalities don't have the capacity in their infrastructure for waste and water for these massive detention facilities. I think he's right, and that's certainly one of the things that we have been hearing about the one here is that it was maybe like it's just a warehouse. It's not zoned or plumbed or wired for housing 10,000 people. And he said one of the things Mullen has done, of course, in his business career before he ended up in the Senate and now as the head of DHS, is he worked on his family's plumbing business. So he says, one thing I do know is construction, and the infrastructure is not there for a lot of these places.
And we know here in Salt Lake that both the city and the county have expressed some concern, and part of which was they almost seemed to have learned about it, Holly, after the purchase was done.
Yes, I think they did.
And then they learned what it was for. And so you're thinking, okay, they buy a warehouse, they want to house prisoners up to 7,500. Well, our entire prison and jail population is about that amount. And you're thinking, we're going to build some facility that's going to house that number of people in what is now a warehouse that may have 3 or 4 restrooms, right, maybe a couple of sinks, a kitchen. I mean, the amount of building that has to occur there and the amount of building that has to occur there is just incredible. And Salt Lake City, the Salt Lake City Council has met recently and said, time out. We're going to authorize so much water for a facility, which is a fraction of what would be needed if this actually goes through the way that DHS is planning for it to.
So Mayor Erin Mendenhall met with ICE agents recently. So she released a statement just a couple of days ago confirming that she had spoken with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Deputy Director Charles Wall and Deputy Chief of Staff to the Director Tim Kaiser. They had a virtual meeting, and that's where we get the number 10,000, because she said she was told that the Salt Lake City warehouse would be one of the, quote, mega centers with capacity for approximately 7,500 to 10,000 individuals.
Yeah, and let me just read some of what she said. It would represent a hub in the hub and spoke model. They indicated they're waiting for a due diligence report on the recently acquired parcel of land and that the information would be shared with city officials. They expect work to begin on the site within weeks and months ahead. And then she said, I asked if they plan to coordinate with Salt Lake City regarding changes to the building and the life and safety measures the city typically enforces through building codes. They said they plan to consult our fire marshal on these issues, but did not commit to any other city review of the building. They did not provide information about the anticipated environmental and traffic impacts to the area, nor did they have specific information on utility needs. Wow.
Yeah, and she reiterated that their position in Salt Lake City has not changed, that she continues to share deep concerns about many of the neighbors that have expressed concerns about public safety, air quality, impacts to the Great Salt Lake, etc. So, look, I just wanted to say with this information that Markwayne Mullin has put a pause on both the new purchases of these warehouses and the fact that we're talking about warehouses to hold people still just scrapes me the wrong way. I'll say that for sure. But there were 11 that have been purchased. They've been purchased in Arizona, Georgia, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Texas, and Utah. And the federal government has spent over $1 billion on those purchases. Here it was, I think, $145 million, which is about $50 million over the valuation.
The value of the property, like who was thinking what? And, Kristi Noem is now out the door. Of course, Markwayne Mullin assumes the position now, and he's kind of going, wait a minute, let's put a stop on this. And I'm sure that part of that is because of what he's hearing from cities and municipalities, including Salt Lake, that, hey, wait a minute, we weren't involved in this, and we don't know that we have the water, the power, the sewage. We don't know there's any way that we're going to be able to build something like this out. You should have talked to us before you just went and purchased it.
Yeah, I think that's right. And, one of the other things he has done, too, is he basically, he didn't say during his confirmation hearings that he wanted a softer, gentler approach to deportations. But what he did say is that he wanted to really kind of tone things down. In fact, this is a New York Times article. He wants deportations, but without the backlash. So he has addressed the Minneapolis incidences, right? He has talked about being very careful to use, I think you told me, judicial warrants, right, before entering a home unless there was some obvious emergency. So he has really indicated a shift from his predecessor, which is, I think, something that was welcome on Capitol Hill.
And one of the problems that the administration has had, and which Homeland Security has had with respect to individuals who are subject to deportation, is what do you do with them when the petition is pending, and what happens to individuals who are out on bail. And what we've learned, and I think what the administration stated, maybe overstated, was we have these cases, we have these people subject to deportation. It takes a year to get them to court, and by the time we do that, they're gone. So they wanted a facility to hold them in the meantime. Of course, due process provides that you can't just hold somebody without having some level of hearing. But I can understand the administration's position on, hey, what do we do with these individuals while their proceedings are going?
Well, I don't think we warehouse them.
Right. Warehousing is probably not the answer. And 11 warehouses throughout the country, with Utah's alone holding, 7,500 to 10,000 people times 11? I mean, that's
a lot.
100,000 people or more, perhaps.
Yeah, so I've seen people who are saying we want to get rid of 100 million people in the United States. I think that's like a fourth of a third, something like that, of the entire U.S. population. So that's not going to happen. Okay, President Trump signed an executive order last night to overhaul elections in the nation, but experts say he doesn't really have the authority to go against the U.S. Constitution. We're going to ask our legal expert for his analysis after the break. Stay with us.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Omada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Omada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
I'm Congressman Mike Kennedy. For years, Utah families have paid too much for health care, groceries, and everyday essentials. I'm fighting for health care reform that puts patients first and lowers costs. I'm also working to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington because your tax dollars should be spent wisely. Fiscal responsibility means lower costs and a government that works for you. I'm Mike Kennedy, and I'll keep fighting for Utah families. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
If you don't care about saving 50% off your wireless bill for the same 5G coverage the big guys are charging a fortune for, maybe you care about keeping jobs in America. Pure Talk does. They've pledged to run their entire operation from this country, including all their customer service. Or maybe you care about our nation's veterans. Pure Talk does. They've donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to America's Warrior Partnership, a fantastic organization working hard to prevent veteran suicide. Or maybe you care about closing America's skills gap. Pure Talk does. They're a proud supporter of MicroWorks. They're helping my foundation train the next generation of skilled workers. Don't get me wrong. Saving money's great, and you'll save plenty with Pure Talk. But if you want to be in business with people who share your values, dial pound 250. Say micro, and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you spend half your day walking or standing while working? If you have foot, knee, or back problems, the Good Feet store wants to help you like we help Tony.
Pain that I experience the most is foot pain from being on my feet all day. You're having to kind of talk to yourself through the whole shift, like, I got this, I can do this. Before, I felt defeated, and now it's like, all right, let's go. I'm ready. A whole new life, like sunshine coming on.
And how about working more comfortably, like Dennis?
Working at an amusement park, it's always on your feet. I just couldn't take it, but I didn't have a choice. I just couldn't believe that putting these arch supports in made that much of a difference that quickly. I could do my job and I could take care of my family. I know what my tomorrow's gonna be. It's gonna be positive.
You deserve a better life too. Stop in the Good Feet store today. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Put your phone on D&D, that means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D, that means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Right now, water heaters are on sale at Any Hour Services. Schedule a free estimate today to see how much you'll save. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL. Opioids helped with the pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Opioids are powerful pain-reducing prescription medicines, but most people who are prescribed opioids don't finish their prescriptions. So millions of unused opioids are sitting in homes across the country, and tragically, More than 100 Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets, anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Well, we're learning that last night President Trump signed an executive order to overhaul elections in the nation, but a lot of experts say he may not have the authority to do this because it may go against the U.S. Constitution, and he's already had a similar order blocked by the courts. What happened was President Trump signed an executive order that he claims will get rid of voter fraud with mail-in ballots. Of course, there's always some concern with mail-in ballots, but a lot of legal experts are saying the order is not constitutional. And we've learned, especially in this state, that instances of voter fraud are almost non-existent. And analysis by the Brookings Institute found that in 4 election cycles from 2016 to 22, there were only 4 cases out of 10 million votes cast.
I think that I think this is a solution in search of a problem, but let's find out more.
Let's find out more from ABC News.
The president signing an executive order directing his administration to create a list of confirmed U.S. citizens eligible to vote in each state and to ban the Postal Service from sending ballots from voters not on that approved list. The order also says states that do not comply could lose federal funding. But the Constitution gives states, not the president or the federal government, the power to run elections.
That was ABC News Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce. And, you know, we've had this exact conversation here in Utah.
It feels like so many times. Yes. Yeah, Utah. So the U.S. Constitution, and you're the legal expert, but the U.S. Constitution says states have the right for what time, place, and manner of elections, of setting the time, place, and manner of elections. So first of all, there are many who are arguing that this order is not constitutional. So here's ABC's Lionel Moisey.
The ACLU saying the Constitution is very clear. Only Congress and the states can make laws regarding our elections. Senator Chuck Schumer saying, see you in court, you will lose.
I don't see how they can challenge it.
Yeah, that was ABC's Lionel Moise. And so it's exactly what you said. The Constitution is very clear. States make laws regarding elections, and the Senate's already threatening Trump with a lawsuit over this. And there are some other problems with it that I might want to just point out. One is that it actually makes criminal prosecution for state and local workers who don't follow the rules. Like, wait a minute. Well, I can understand civil penalties or administrative action, but criminal prosecution for state and local elections officials, that's something you would never expect in an executive order like this.
And there's a number of things too. So it would create a national database, right, of voters. And one of the things that just is really makes me say, what? Is the Postal Service would be the ones to verify somebody's citizenship by seeing whether they were on this national database or not.
Yeah, and you got to imagine the United States Postal Service is going, wait a minute, you're putting some obligation on us that was way out of our realm of what our obligations
They would be in charge of verifying that people were legally able to vote by mail because they'd be on this massive database. So we've had conversations here in studio before, including with Jay Evenson from the Deseret News, about just the security issues involved with one centralized database versus the 3,100 plus databases that exist now, because we vote by county and there's over 3,100 in the nation versus one. So it's a lot easier to hack one thing than 3,100.
And it does seem that there's a lot going on in anticipation of midterms, which are now, 6 or 8 months away. ABC News Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce has more on that.
For months, the president has railed against mail-in voting, claiming without evidence that it leads to, quote, cheating. But cases of fraud involving mail-in ballots are extremely rare. And just last week, the president himself cast a ballot by mail, voting in a Florida special election, even though he was in town when early in-person voting was available.
I have to say, Utah, Holly, has been so far ahead of the curve on mail-in voting and mail-in ballots, and without problem, without issues, that if you look at what we're doing here, you would say mail-in voting makes all the sense in the world. I mean, I think it I think it creates a much better and bigger voter base because it's easy for people to do that instead of the alternative, which who knows what that alternative is going to end up being. You go to a county drop-off and you have to have somebody there that you show them your license or something, or you go to the old system where you have to go check in at the voting center and go through the whole process.
So I think one of the questions is, does the president have the authority by executive order to change federal election law? And there are certainly a number of people who believe that he does not. There are already 2 states that have said they're filing a lawsuit. There's another legal organization that is like, we're filing a lawsuit immediately. President Trump told reporters that he believes the order is legally foolproof, but there's a lot of people who disagree with that. And I have to say, he signed an executive order about a year ago on elections, and it's been blocked by a federal judge who said the president lacks the constitutional authority to set voting policy.
The problem that you have, and we had the same issue with tariffs. Trump issued tariffs. The court said you can't do this. It's congressional authority only. And so he lost. And the next day, he issued new tariffs. And the problem you have with that is it takes, a year to get through the court system.
Right.
So you have these executive orders that are in place for some period of time. And let's say you do have a lawsuit in Indiana, or let's say you do have a lawsuit in Ohio, and a judge says, wait a minute, we're going to put a hold to this. We don't have universal injunctions. It's not going to be nationwide. By the time it gets up to the Supreme Court, the midterms are over. So I think that these executive orders coming fast and furious are keeping the courts on their heels. And, I don't know what it's going to mean for the midterm elections. I kind of think that it's not going to make a big difference because people are frustrated right now with, and it's always the case, midterms are never favorable to the party in office. And I think this year is going to be no different than that. So do what you want with the mail-in voting.
So even logistically, trying to get something like that stood up where you make the post office in charge of this and having a national database, like we already are in primary season. There are multiple states that have already held their primaries. Ours are in June. And the general election is just around the corner. I will say this is an NPR article. The National Rural Letter Carriers Association is raising concerns about it that, just to your point, would impose new administrative burdens on an agency that's already under significant financial strain. We know that about the Postal Service. But they say this: the Postal Service is not an election enforcement agency. It is not a substitute for state election administrators. It is not equipped or authorized to decide who is or is not entitled to vote. And that is the union's president of the National Rural Letters Carriers Association.
Yeah, and we started the day talking about, I'm going to digress for just a second, the birthright citizenship arguments. I don't think we could go to these right now, but President Trump sat in for those and left early. He's already given press statements about concerning the court and where it's going. I mean, he's I don't know where I'm going with this, but I just thought it was unusual that he's already attacking the court and their arguments in the birthright citizenship case, because he's got to rely on the court again for something like this. And this particular issue is going to end up at the same court. The same justices probably may have something, they may have to weigh in on it between now and November, because, we have midterm elections coming around the corner. And so, undermining everybody's confidence in the election right now is real problematic.
It's interesting that we've pointed out that an analysis by the Brookings Institution found that in 4 election cycles from 2016 to 2022, there were only 4 cases out of about every 10 million votes cast. I'm not sure a centralized database in the U.S. Postal Service is going to decrease that amount.
It's also ironic that the president voted by mail.
He voted by mail while he was in country.
Right.
I mean, it's not in country. He was in country, but he was also in state. He was in Florida at the time.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know. I vote by mail. I love the process. I've taken advantage of it. My wife and I both do that, and it's something we really enjoy doing and think that it saves us a lot of time. So I hope that we don't do anything to do away with.
About a third of the nation voted by mail in the presidential election last time, right? So that was what got President Trump elected, was people voting by mail. So Utah, as a state, we've voted by mail since, I think we decided it was 2018.
Yeah.
It was before the pandemic, so we were ahead of the curve for sure.
And I think that both sides have an argument. You want election integrity. You also want elections to be easy for people to engage in, especially those that can't get to the ballot, the voting places as easily as others. So who knows where these will end up and where these executive orders will go. Congress and the states are going to have to weigh in at some point. Well, we may be breaking away to a news conference. I don't know yet, but we'll certainly have more on Inside Sources after this break.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. We have an update on the human remains found in the mountains above Springville this weekend. The Utah County Sheriff's Office says investigators were able to determine a possible identity based on personal articles found at the scene. The family has been notified, but they are not publishing the possible identification until it's confirmed, which could take months. Senator John Curtis is one of 4 lawmakers who plans to visit Asia before President Trump's summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping. The lawmakers will go to Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea to help strengthen bonds with U.S. allies. The stop in Taiwan could be an issue to Chinese leaders as the country continues to claim the island is Chinese territory. Curtis tells the Associated Press the U.S.'s alliance with Taiwan is one of the most strategically and morally significant partnerships America has in the region. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump looked on from a seat in the front row as his attorneys made arguments to the Supreme Court on why the president should be allowed to restrict birthright citizenship.
At times, the court's conservatives seemed just as skeptical as the liberals of the idea that children born to people here illegally are not U.S. citizens. Justice Samuel Alito noted their parents might be subject to removal, but they've still established roots here.
And that raises a humanitarian problem.
The Trump administration's lawyer pointed to the concept of birth tourism, but he was unable to explain how common it is for foreigners to fly here just to have their babies. When he said it's now a new world, Chief Justice John Roberts said this.
Well, it's a new world. It's the same Constitution.
Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Your money at this moment, the Dow up 370 points today to 46,712. Coming up, we've got rain today, tomorrow, and maybe Friday, too. KSL weather's coming up next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
This weekly tax tip is brought to you by the Utah Association of Certified Public Accountants. Here's CEO Susan Spears.
If you have student loans, don't miss out on the student loan interest deduction. Here's the good news right up front. You don't have to itemize to claim it. If you paid interest on student loans in 2025, you may be able to deduct up to $2,500 on your federal tax return you'll file this year. That applies to loans for your own education, and in some cases, loans you're legally responsible for, like Parent Plus loans. What surprises people is how this deduction works. It's considered an above the line, meaning it reduces your taxable income before your tax bracket is even calculated. There are income tax limits, and the benefit phases out as income rises.
Get the most out of your income tax preparation when you hire a licensed CPA. Visit uacpa.org to find a CPA that's right for you. And check out new tax tip videos by following on social media at Talk to Your CPA.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-8157. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-8157. That's 800-575-8157.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
When you crash your car, you get it fixed. When your computer crashes, you get a new one. But what will you do if you've been saving in a 401k or an IRA and the market crashes? If you're in your 30s or 40s, you'll be just fine. But if you're in or near retirement, you could be in trouble. Mike Stevens and his team at Capital Wealth Advisors are here to help. They can run a risk analysis to see if you're too heavily invested in the market. Don't let the ups and downs of Wall Street control you or your retirement dreams. Call 801-210-5500 today to schedule your risk analysis with Mike Stevens and the team at Capital Wealth Advisors. That's 801-210-5500. Crashes happen. Question is, are you ready? Capital Wealth Advisors, 801-210-5500. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. Cormac, what do you see?
Well, right now we're seeing this crash on southbound I-15 in Layton, just before Layton Parkway. They're blocking the right shoulder, but causing some delays that are reaching back toward Hillfield Road. Otherwise, roadways calming down quite a bit in the midday drive. No major accidents or delays in Utah County. Even Pioneer Crossing in Lehigh right now looking like a good drive. Where we do have some congestion, that's I-215's west belt at the intersection with I-80. There is a crash there, still blocking the transition ramp from southbound I-215 to go westbound on I-80 toward the airport. Common Spirit, hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advanced healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, the rain clears out for a while this afternoon, makes a return tomorrow morning. The high today, only 59, but drops to 50 for the high tomorrow and 49 on Friday. Right now it's 46 degrees and rainy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, when we started the show, Supreme Court arguments were about halfway through in the argument against the government's administration, the president's executive order doing away with birthright citizenship. And let me just give a little foundation for that, just for our listeners. I think most people remember all of this from their high school studies and their constitutional law studies, but the Supreme Court came out with a decision that was notorious called the Dred Scott decision, which said this, that black people could not be citizens. That decision was at 1857. The Civil War ended 8 years later at 1865. So now the landscape changed significantly, and the nation then adopted the 14th Amendment to deal with that problem and other sort of related problems. And the 14th Amendment said that anyone born in the United States or naturalized is a citizen of the United States and the state in which they live. So that was birthright citizenship. And it was, some people thought it was intended to protect slaves who were recently freed. And what do? They have to go back to where they were brought in. Some people were born here, so there was no place for them to go. So they were granted citizenship. The Supreme Court has extended that a little bit, and it looks like we're going to have a breakaway here. The Utah County Sheriff's Office is about to start a press conference. This is something I think you're going to want to pay very close attention to. We've been waiting for it to start, and it looks like they're starting now.
Okay, not quite. Here we go.
As we are going to be releasing some definitive information in the homicide of Laura and Amy. With us here today, we have obviously Sheriff Mike Smith. We have Commissioner Bo Mason from the Utah Department of Public Safety. We have our Sergeant Mike Reynolds over our investigations team, his lead detective Jake Hall, who helped spearhead this investigation. We also have representatives and family members of the Laura and Amy family. And at this time, we'll turn it over to Sheriff Smith.
This is the Utah County
Thank
Sheriff.
you and good morning. We're here today to give an update on the murder of Laura and Amy that occurred in the fall of 1974. We now have definitive evidence proving that Theodore Ted Bundy murdered Laura, and we can announce that this case is officially closed. This renewed effort to solve the case came about due to Detective Sergeant Mike Reynolds and Detective Jake Hall in their efforts to review all of Utah County's cold cases. These detectives moved the Amy case forward with evidence gathered In 1974, and I just want to say that, looking at that evidence in 1974, I believe we have one of the investigators here. I want to add that they did a phenomenal job. That evidence has endured the years and was pristine. They did a phenomenal job in preserving what brought us to this conclusion today. With that evidence and the full support of the Utah County Sheriff's Office, we bring this case to a closure, and most importantly, we bring closure, hopefully, to the Amy family who have endured over 50 years of the loss of their loved one. Although Bundy did claim that he committed the murder of Laura, the confession he gave was deemed to be not enough evidence to close the case and rule out any other party having had committed this crime, as had been speculated at the time. Fortunately, we have new forensic techniques become available through our partnership with the Utah Department of Public Safety Crime Lab that have made the closure of this case possible. We can now say, without a doubt, that Theodore Ted Bundy did in fact murder Laura Ann Amy in the fall of 1974, and that law enforcement now has DNA testing results that are compatible with the latest DNA testing standards. This will make any future DNA test comparison easier for those law enforcement agencies who still have open cases involving Bundy. I will also add that if Bundy were alive today, we would have pursued this case to the fullest extent. And we would have pushed this criminal case and asked for punishment, capital punishment, and the death penalty from our Utah County Attorney's Office. At this time, I would like to turn some time over to Sergeant Mike Reynolds, who will go over the details of this investigation. After he speaks, Commissioner Bo Mason will take some time to speak about the crime lab.
Thank you, Sheriff. If I could just open up, I've been asked to kind of answer a few questions that may come up through the overall announcement. Without the strength of this sheriff and this administration, the undersheriff, I believe we still continue to spin some wheels and time continues to burn on. However, with the passion of the sheriff and at his direction of his administrators, we're able to get all of the necessary resources to close a crime that is long overdue. There's not enough that I can say wonderful about the Laura Ann Amy case, and well, excuse me, actually there's nothing that I can't say that's not wonderful about the Laura Ann family. And Laura Amy is the quintessential daughter of Utah County, and we felt the pain that the family feels when she was taken. We felt the pain that you felt this whole entire time, and we've had a desire to deliver to you some type of healing. And I know I can't really say the word closure, but some type of healing, and hopefully we've brought that. I'm going to kind of go back to script here, it's a little bit easier, but at the onset of the beginning of this assignment to the Utah County Investigations a year ago, this is top priority of myself with its cold cases. My desire was to bring resolution of some kind, of some type, to the families and present some type of closure. I feared that in some time, people would start to forget these victims. They would start to forget the names, and we would really lose the point of serving justice. I met with our existing senior cold case detective, who without him would have also been impossible, and that's Jake Hall, and he's our senior cold case detective. We got together and we created what was called a cold case, stale case, or slowed case review. We felt it was important for cases of violence, cases of where children are missing or adults are missing, that we revisit these things periodically and we not forget what's out there, and we hold ourselves accountable. And we basically essentially tells ourselves to do better, perform better, and to be better. With cold cases, we face quite a bit of particular challenges. And some of those steeper challenges in comparison to other critical cases are of the integrity of the evidence. And the sheriff mentioned because we had professional officers back in '74 and because we have professional CSI, we're able today to hold that evidence 52 years almost later. And if it were a course discharge situation, we believe that it would stand on its face. Over time, this type of evidence starts to degrade. On the positive side, the forensics, the policing, the techniques, the sciences, they evolve. And with that evolution comes the luck that we had. And after scouring the cases and scouring the evidence that we had, we knew we had probably 1 or 2 shots maybe on some of this evidence. And we were able to get in front of the Utah State Forensic Bureau, and we were able to present our case. And they believed in us as well, and they believed that the things that we had scoured through and the things that we presented were professional in nature and held the key to solving this case, and ultimately which it did. Again, in the beginning of March, this is when we learned and we got the results back from the state. We knew that it closed the door of nearly almost 52 years. Later, for Laura Amy, it provides strength, passion, and now we have the final irrefutable blow to Bundy in this case. Laura has that last opportunity to drop her last words, and I believe she did so. And I believe she did so today. She continues to send small signs, and as the day rains, it reassures us that she's happy with the direction we're going, and this is a good thing. This is a good and great thing. The full DNA profile of Ted Bundy has been recovered from our case, and it stands now as an aid for other cases to be closed. Currently, and under confidential circumstances, we are aware that there is one case that is also going to be close to closure or be able to be closed due to the evidence that we provide. The sheriff has given his resources and given the green light for us to do anything within our means to cooperate and share anything that we may have with other agencies. In closing, the true last things that I can say is thank you to the Laura Amy case, or Laura Amy family. Thank you for your endurance. Thank you for your accepting us into your family and allowing us to take part and actually know what she was all about. And she is a beautiful woman, and as we did these cases, there was nothing, even 52 years later, there was no evil words, there was nothing harsh said. Everything that was always said with love, and how much of a loving individual she is. And to recall, probably one of the best stories that I heard was she was one of those individuals that just cared for her siblings and would take her siblings out, and with her own money at the age of in between 13 to early 17, she would buy candy for her little sisters, and she would care for them out of her own money. And it's just something that is hard to be seen. It's sibling love, and it's something that we need more of. And it was a perfect example of love, and I thank you for allowing the Amy family for me to take part of that. At this point, turn it over to Commissioner.
52 years after the death and murder of Laura Ann Amy in Utah County, the county has determined that Ted Bundy was the person responsible for that.
I'd like to start off first by recognizing the family of Laura Ann Amy. While we hope this brings closure to the family, we also recognize how hard this must be to bring up these harsh memories of such a tragic time in that family's history. But I'd also like to recognize Sheriff Smith, his deputies, detectives, and evidence technicians that not only continued to work this case some 50 years later, but also preserved that evidence in such a manner that it could still be utilized today. As Commissioner of the Department of Public Safety, one of my duties is to oversee the Bureau of Forensic Services, often referred to as our crime lab. The way this case kind of worked out is our crime lab met with the detectives as they're working this case. They look at the evidence and try to decide which pieces of evidence hold the best potential to extract that DNA evidence. They identified those items and began working them within the lab. While doing this, they were able to extract DNA profiles from that evidence, and utilizing a technology that we acquired in early 23 that helps them analyze that evidence, They're able to separate and identify evidence that may be small in sample size, may be degraded due to age or other circumstances, or may contain mixed profiles. Throughout that process, they were able to identify a single male DNA profile and submit that into our CODIS system. CODIS is the combined DNA indexing system that is used nationwide and houses over 26 million profiles from convicted offenders and arrestees in the United States. After submitting that evidence, or that into CODIS, we received a hit back from Florida. Our lab then worked with the lab in Florida to identify which DNA profile that matched, and came back as a positive match to Ted Bundy. This case not only highlights the collaboration between the lab and police agencies across the state and with the Utah County Sheriff's Office, but it highlights the importance of our CODIS system in not only working cold cases, but also current cases. These detectives in this sheriff's office and everywhere else in the state are working active cases today that are utilizing this same system. But it's through the advancement of technology and the resources we have today that we're able to find these older cases, degraded samples, and continue to push them in ways that have never been seen before. In closing, I'd just again like to thank the Utah County Sheriff's Office for their continued work to dedicate themselves to 50 years of continuing to push this case and work on other cold cases. And I'd also like to recognize all the individuals working in our lab for their professionalism and expertise to continue to drive to keep Utah safe and push the boundaries of what we know today in technology and advancements in DNA. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sargent. This was a big ask, but we asked the Amy family if they would be willing to come up, have a representative come up and say some words. And Laura's sister, Michelle and Paula, is going to come up and say a few words from the family.
Thank you. I first want to thank the sheriff's team for working so hard on something that we just assumed was a closed case. And so that they had been working on it for a year is really incredible to me. And I'm sure that my mom and dad would be really happy to know that it is closed. You know, I didn't know it was open, but 2 years ago we were informed that the evidence office was putting together a memorial for her, which they have on their wall, and I was asked to, if we had stories, and you know, I kind of panicked. I didn't know what to say. I was 12 when Laura died. She was 17, but we were really close. We shared a room. We rode horses together. She was very passionate about animals, and her horse Arab, which she spent a lot of time on him. She would feed him red licorice called nibs. I don't know that they even make those anymore, but anyway, after it was like a treat she gave him, and when she died, he would not eat those anymore. And you know, she was fun. We had a really good time. We used to just do everything. She took me everywhere. You know, as a 12-year-old, that's pretty cool to hang out with your older sister. And I'm 12 when she died, so I was 11, 10, whatever. We were always together. One time, she had to clean out the barn. We lived in Fairview. We grew up in Fairview, and and she wanted to. We were out there in the dark, and my sister Evelyn, Tara's mom, was taking care of Tommy and Dana, and she was in the house, and Laura decided we should knock on the door and then hide from her. So we would do that. We'd knock on the door, and it's dark out, you know, so Evelyn would open the door, and she'd be like, "Hello, who's there?" And we'd be hiding and laughing about it, you know. And she was just fun. I thought she was fun because, you know, I'm a little kid just following her around, but we had a lot in common. The love of animals and just being outside, and and doing the things that you do when you live on a farm full of animals. And we were in 4-H horsemanship, and so we just spent a lot of time together. And I know that she would be really happy to know that it's been closed, that it has been, and just to know that Ted Bundy is like gnashing his teeth in hell is really, I don't know, I hate to think people doing that, but with him and a few other people in the world, that's what they deserve. So anyway, again, I thank you, everybody that's here, for being here. It's really quite amazing that people even are still interested in Laura's case. But I appreciate it. I really appreciate the evidence team and Jake and Mike and you guys for even it being so passionate for you to close. And so I know I speak for my family when I thank you, and thank you media too for even caring. That's it.
Thank you, Michelle.
If I can have Mike come up, Sergeant Commissioner, if you come up. We're willing to open it up to questions for a few minutes if anybody has questions.
Can you be a little more specific on where you got the DNA that matched with Bundy? Was it off the fingernail or clothing, or where did that DNA get?
It was body fluids that were left on Laura Amy's body.
You said this may help close another case. Is that a case here in Utah County?
So on that, I've got to maintain complete confidentiality as far as that goes, but that won't be in Utah County.
Commissioner, you put the DNA profile into the CODIS database, right?
Correct.
But you already had an idea that Ted Bundy was responsible. Could you have just compared Ted Bundy's DNA with it directly?
No, the way the CODIS system works is his profile is housed in Florida's CODIS system. And so we do not have a DNA profile for Ted Bundy in the state of Utah. And so the way that works is we enter that into the system, and it goes out and it goes across the United States into every one of those CODIS systems, and then it will ping back a result. We don't necessarily even know who that result is. We just know it hit in Florida, and then our lab has to work with their lab to say which profile does this match. And it actually goes through a second set of comparisons with their lab technicians to make sure that everything is appropriately analyzed, that it is a confirmed match. It's not just digitized, it's confirmed again. And that's when we actually get the hit and the name saying this was Ted Bundy.
Chief, prior to last year when you opened the case again, when was the last time you looked at this case?
This case has been reviewed and tackled by almost every transition of deputies. To put an exact time, at least within 2 years before I've taken a look at it.
Okay, well, if there's no other questions, I'd like to thank you all for coming out today, and have a good day.
We've been listening to a press conference held by the Utah County Sheriff's Office involving their solving of the 1974 murder of a young woman by the name of Laura Ann Amy. And the history of that case is that she was killed in 1974, 52 years ago. Ted Bundy, who at the time was alive and was a suspect in other murders, confessed to that murder, but the county attorney's office and the county sheriff's office didn't feel like they had enough evidence to close the case solely based on an admission. So they continued their investigation and kind of upped their ante here within the last 2 years. I think because technology had increased and other information was available, and they were able to get a small fragment of human bodily fluids from her person and sent that to the state of Florida, which had the profile for Ted Bundy, and they determined that that was a match. So they have now closed the case and solved the case by now announcing today that her murder was caused by Theodore Ted Bundy. Of course, he's deceased. He was executed himself. They said that they certainly would have prosecuted him with the evidence they have, but that case is now closed. And I think, Holly, this is something that is helpful to the family to have that level of closure in a case.
And I think we heard from the family too. And so, again, we had a texter say, did they just find her body? No, she was found in 1974, but they just identified her killer.
Yes. And we'll have more from Cold Case podcast host Dave Colley after the break.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. As we just heard, the Utah County Sheriff's Office has confirmed that Laura Ann Amy was killed by Ted Bundy. Amy's case has been unsolved since her murder in 1974.
And we can announce that this case is officially closed.
We're going to learn more about Amy and her death from KSL Cold podcast host Dave Colley. He will join Inside Sources in just a few moments. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Supreme Court is hearing arguments today about President Trump's bid to end birthright citizenship. The president is asking justices to uphold his executive order eliminating the citizenship under a novel interpretation of the 14th Amendment. ABC News legal contributor Royal Oakes has more.
Trump's core argument is that the 14th Amendment requires a child to be subject to the jurisdiction of the U.S., and without a parent being a citizen or permanent resident, that condition isn't met. The problem is the court has historically read that language much more broadly.
President Trump is in court today for those arguments. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 410 points, the S&P is up 74 points. And coming up, scattered showers today. KSL weather is next. KSL News time 11:01.
I like that shirt. Is that a new shirt?
It is. It's from Ann Collar, and it's really rare to find a shirt that looks good and is super comfortable. And this is a fabric unlike anything I've ever felt.
I got one for my husband and my sons, and watching my 19-year-old put on the Ann Collar shirt and sort of check himself out in the mirror, I thought, wow, he's really digging that. And I can understand why, because it's not just comfortable, it's stain repellent, which I needed.
Oh, my goodness. That is something.
He attracts spaghetti sauce to shirts like you would not believe. And with these Ann Collar shirts, I can get it out.
Amanda, I have to wear a special bib when I eat spaghetti with a white shirt on. But with Ann Collar shirts, it takes those little tiny nicks and stains, and they don't stick to you. Yeah, you don't have to dump a bucket of stuff on you, but it would repel that too.
You've got to try one. So whether it's the traditional white shirt or any of the patterns they have, it's Ann Collar, and they're made right here in Utah.
If you've never tried Ann Collar before, we have got permission to give you 15% off at andcollar.com and go get your first. Use the code KSL15.
That's Ann Collar, ANDcollar.com.
Snapshot from Progressive wasn't created for just anybody. Oh no, we made it for you. Smooth accelerators. When that light turns green, you're off. Like a warm knife through firm butter. Going from 0 to the speed limit in an appropriate amount of time. Sure, your car has horsepower, but your horses prance around as silky smooth as your right foot. Fancy Prancerton. With Snapshot, safe drivers like you get personalized rates based on your driving habits. Sign up today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents.
Are you stuck staring at your W-2? Are tax refund worries holding you back? You probably have FOMO, the fear of messing up. The fix? Using TurboTax on Intuit Credit Karma. They find every credit and deduction to help you get every refund dollar you deserve, or your money back. It's time to overcome your fear of messing up and get your taxes done right. Start filing today in the Credit Karma app.
If you've saved more than $300,000, there's one thing you can do now that can make your savings go twice as far in retirement, and it's tax planning. That's right. Tax planning could significantly reduce the taxes on your IRA and 401k withdrawals, Social Security benefits, and other investment income. Find out how much money you could save with a free retirement tax savings analysis from the good people at Boss Retirement Solutions. To schedule your free analysis, call 801-896-9622. Tax planning for retirement could reduce your taxes not just for 1 year, but for the rest of your life. And the savings could be six figures. Let's find out how much money you could save. Call 801-896-9622 801-896-9622.
For informational purposes only, actual results may vary. No statement contained herein shall constitute tax, legal, or investment advice. Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Here's Cormac Bone.
We don't have any major accidents on I-15 or delays, but the road is still wet, so do give yourself a couple extra minutes if you're going wherever you're going. We do have a crash on city streets, though. This is eastbound on 123rd South, approaching I-15. They're blocking multiple lanes there and causing some heavy congestion trying to get onto the freeway in Draper. We also have a crash multiple crashes at the intersection of I-215's West Belt and I-80. Looks like they just got this semi that had flipped around the wrong direction on northbound I-215's West Belt. That's why you've got heavy delays on both north and southbound on I-215 approaching I-80 near the airport. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Scattered rain continues through the afternoon and tomorrow. Highs get down to the low 50s over the next few days, but start creeping back up over the weekend. Right now it is 46 and rainy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com for Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
We just learned that the Utah County Sheriff's Office has confirmed that Laura Ann Amy was killed by Ted Bundy in 1974. Her body was found in 1974, but they were never able to officially link Ted Bundy to the case until just now. But the case is now closed.
We're here today to give an update on the murder of Laura Ann Amy that occurred in the fall of 1974. We now have definitive evidence proving that Theodore Ted Bundy murdered Laura, and we can announce that this case is officially closed. And most importantly, we bring closure, hopefully, to the Amy family who have endured over 50 years of the loss of their loved one.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that has to be huge for the family. And speaking of cold cases and the fact that this information is really helpful, we do have Dave Cawley, KSL investigative journalist and KSL podcast host. Dave, thanks for joining us this morning.
Absolutely, Greg. Happy to be here.
And you know more about cold cases and what these mean than anyone that I know. Can you tell us why this is important for the family members of victims?
I can certainly tell you a little bit about that, but also why this matters, I think, more broadly for all of us. The Laura Ann Amy case, to take you back, 1974, she disappeared on Halloween night. She had been hanging out with some friends. She left to go home or to, go to another place. She was hitchhiking in Utah County. That was the last time anybody saw her, was hitchhiking in American Fork. And then it was another few weeks around Thanksgiving time when a man and his girlfriend who were taking a hike in American Fork Canyon came across her body along the creek in American Fork Canyon. Now, at the time, there were numerous other missing women, girls who were believed to be the victim of a yet unidentified serial killer. We later learn, of course, that, this man is Ted Bundy, but there was no physical evidence at the time that linked Laura Amy to Ted Bundy. So for 50 plus years, it's been believed but not proven. The fact that they can now definitively prove that Laura Amy was killed by Ted Bundy is big, because not only does the family get that finality to say we know for sure, but also there are other victims out there that there are still question marks. And so it provides, I think, some hope and some clarity for those of us in the public that, these cases don't go away just because they're old. People are still working them. New advancements in technology are there, and we can have big breakthroughs like this today.
Dave, I wanted to ask, and we did have a texter ask this question, are there then women in Utah who are suspected to be Ted Bundy victims? Are those still cold cases that could be impacted by today's news?
Certainly there are. So the two that come immediately to mind to me, the first woman that Ted is believed to have killed in Utah, Nancy Wilcox, her body has never been found. He did confess to killing her and gave directions, but that never led to a body. So hypothetically, if someday Nancy Wilcox's remains were located and you were able to collect DNA, now that's a long shot, but it is possible, you could use the DNA profile that we now have, as you heard them say in this press conference, in Utah for Ted Bundy to link that. Likewise, another victim, Sue Curtis. She was taken from the campus of BYU as Bundy was being led into the execution chamber in Florida in 1989. He said that he left Sue Curtis's body somewhere between Price and Green River. She has never been found. There may be others that we don't know about. So it's a big, big deal to have that DNA ability to match against any future victims that might be located.
Dave, what do you know, if anything, about the advances in technology that have occurred, certainly since 1974, there have been significant, but even in the last few years that would have allowed Utah County to solve a case like this?
I will preface my answer, Craig, by saying I am not a DNA scientist, but what I can tell you generally is the ability for forensic experts to go in and use what in the past might be viewed as an unviable sample. So say something as it's too little, like there's not enough of the tissue or blood or whatever it is. Nowadays, they're able to use far smaller samples to be able to get those profiles. In the past, sometimes you might have had mixed profiles. So if you had more than one person's DNA in a sample, it might come back inconclusive. They're better able to distinguish using some of these tools. In the press conference, you heard them say this is technology that's really only been available since 2023. So in the last few years, even advancements appear to have been made. I'm hoping we'll get more detail about specifically what the items were that Utah County tested and what the technologies were that came into play. They did not give us those details in this press conference.
Dave, I had a question myself about the length of time that it took for the sheriff's office to get an answer. And I'm wondering with this cold case, if it maybe sat on the shelf for 50-ish years and then it was just in the last couple of years that they decided to revisit, or is this something they've worked on off and on for the whole 52 years?
Well, you asked a bigger question than you realized, Holly. So if you study, no, that's great. It's important to talk about this. Look, if you go back to the start of this investigation in 1974, a young woman's body, Laura Amy, is discovered in this canyon. An autopsy is conducted. So materials of evidence are collected at that time. But the history of the case is that evidence got lost. And as Ted Bundy's case moved forward, he was charged with crimes in Colorado. He was extradited from Utah to Colorado. Investigators from Colorado actually came to Utah saying, we need hair samples. We need evidence from your Laura Amy case. And Utah County at the time didn't have them. So I still have questions today about, when along the way was that evidence apparently rediscovered? What was it that, just within the last year prompted a fresh look by the Utah County Sheriff's Office? 50 years is a very long time. This case has traded hands many, many times. And I think it's important that we in the public get greater transparency and clarity from Utah County about that kind of procedural and evidentiary history so that we can understand, what it was that held this case back. Aside from the technology not being available, certainly there have been, I think, errors and missteps along the way that we need to have a better understanding about.
Dave, you've dealt with the family members of victims of various crimes that we have called cold cases. What is it about something like what happened today that provides, or does it provide some solace to the family members?
I will say, Greg, I've not lived that experience, so I don't want to speak on behalf of, every family member of a missing person or a homicide victim. From the people that I've interviewed, though, when you have this lingering question, even if you 99.9% believed Ted Bundy killed Laura Amy, you didn't know. And so to now be able to say we know for fact, we can, in our own minds, kind of take the next step of, okay, we accept and understand that that's what happened to her. Now we can deal with our own feelings, our own emotions about that. We can, as a family, share our memories of her, move past talking about Ted Bundy and refocus on Laura, because that's what happens when cases like this linger for so long. The focus drifts toward the person believed responsible, rather than allowing these families to push that person kind of off the stage and really focus on their lost loved one, in this case, Laura.
Thank you so much. That was Dave Cawley, KSL investigative journalist and KSL podcast host. And, he was speaking about the impact on families. And we heard from her younger sister who at this press conference who got emotional thanking the investigators.
But I appreciate it. I really appreciate the evidence team and Jake and Mike and you guys for even it being so passionate for you to close. And so I know I speak for my family when I thank you, and thank you media too for even caring.
That was a very interesting press conference and a very interesting take on that from our own Dave Cawley.
Yes, and this sister was only 12 years old when her older sister was kidnapped and killed. So stay with us. When we come back, we're going to the moon.
Amanda, I've got a cruise planned in a couple of months, and I was thinking about the other people who may have cruises planned coming up a few months from now, and why right now would be the best time for them to begin their weight loss journey on Soda Weight Loss.
If you started right now, you could lose 20, 30, 40 pounds before June.
That's right.
I lost 37 pounds in 3 months, 3.5 years ago. And the beauty about soda is it's not a quick fix. This is learning that is going to last you the rest of your life and help you be healthy.
Your clothes fit better, your energy comes back, you don't get winded going upstairs.
Yeah.
Things that maybe you don't even realize. When I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, it felt like a transformation.
You learn what works for your body so you don't get addicted to shots or drugs. You just work with a nutritionist who's going to teach you how to keep the weight off for a lifetime.
Right now, you should go check out sodaweightloss.com, see all the thousands of before and after pictures, or speak with a nutritionist by giving a call 866-800-SODA.
Soda Weight Loss. Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
Is your financial advisor managing your risk or just a spreadsheet? Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. Many financial advisors rely on target date funds, which are one-size-fits-all portfolios that don't know your name, your family, or your goals. And that passive management can leave you dangerously exposed. At Trajan, we look at the whole picture, not just the stocks everyone else buys, but the private market opportunities most advisors ignore. And as fiduciaries, we build a strategy around you, coordinating your investments, tax strategy, and estate into one cohesive plan. Your financial life deserves more than just a generic portfolio. Real planning isn't a stack of statements. It's the confidence of knowing where your income will come from for the next 30 years. Good enough isn't good enough for your family. It's time for a change. Schedule your complimentary consultation today.
Call Trajan today at 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Private equity investments require accreditation. Other services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
How was your break? It was great until I stopped for gas. Prices have gone up almost $1 with no end in sight. I might have to start watching how much I drive.
That's exactly why I use Upside. I never pay full price for gas with the free Upside app.
Upside?
Yes, Upside. It's the free app that gives you cash back just for buying the gas you're already buying. So even with the rising gas prices, I'll never have to limit how much I drive.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Just last year, I made over $200 with the Upside app.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app right now.
Download the free Upside app to earn cash back on the gas you're already buying. Use promo code THRIVE25 for an extra 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank account, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code THRIVE25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first fill-up. That's THRIVE25.
Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Hi, everyone. It's Congressman Blake Moore here. I'm proud to support legislation that strengthens the integrity of our elections. I voted for the Save America Act, which requires proof of citizenship when registering to vote and a valid photo ID at the polls. Utah has long prioritized transparent, secure, and accessible elections. Passing this legislation helps encourage the rest of the country to follow our lead. To learn more about what I'm doing in Congress, sign up for my weekly e-newsletter at blakemore.house.gov and follow along on social media at Rep. Blake Moore. It's our honor to serve you and your family in Congress. Thank you. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
I'm here with Monty from Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer. So, Monty, I wonder if you know someone like this. He's the ultimate DIY guy. Restores classic cars, builds his own deck, and even smokes his own brisket.
Sounds like a talented guy.
He is. But get this, his other weekend hobby is troubleshooting his water softener. He's always down there resetting the timer or fiddling with the circuit board.
See, Doug, that's where I draw the line. Smoking a brisket is a great weekend project.
Yeah.
Fixing an electric water softener is just a chore.
Exactly. He thinks he's saved money by buying the bargain brand, but he's paying for it with his Saturdays.
That's the Connecticut difference. Our systems are premium because they are non-electric and fully automated. No computers to fry, no timers to reset. We install it and you get back to the hobbies you actually enjoy.
If you want soft water, do what I did and leave that to Connecticut. It runs on water power, not willpower. Learn more at softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com.
Let's retrofit and renovate old buildings before it's too late. 45 water pipes and power lines to keep things flowing and get back online. EIGONE. Let's work together to get ready. We don't have to be scared. Visit earthquakes.utah.gov to prepare.
Brought to you by Envision Utah.
Any Hour Services can help unclog any drain in your house, whether you have a backup, a clog, or a slow drain you want fixed. Call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Get going to the moon! One of the shows that I watched when I was a child, The Honeymooners. You have to be pretty old to remember that, but yes, you're going to the moon, and we are going to the moon. The countdown is on for a liftoff today, just within the next few hours, of the Artemis II moon mission, where dozens of space fans will gather in Florida to see history being made. ABC's Hannah Battah has more with what we can expect today.
The fueling process is set to begin this morning at 7:34 Eastern and will take about 5 hours. The crew, already on mission time, will wake up around 9:45, have breakfast, and suit up. By mid-afternoon, they'll arrive at the launch pad. And at 6:24 tonight, the launch window opens. It's expected to draw 400,000 visitors to Kennedy Space Center, boosting the local economy. This store owner has printed 50,000 Artemis shirts.
It's interesting, Holly.
That's a lot of shirts.
The four astronauts, one is black. There's a woman astronaut, and there's an astronaut from Canada.
So what's interesting, really interesting to me, is how long it's been since we've been to the moon.
Yeah, 7 years.
It really is a long time. We have with us Ben Bromley, professor of astronomy and physics at the University of Utah. Thanks for joining us today, Dr. Bromley.
Hey, thank you so much. It's great to be here.
So can you just overall tell us, why is this happening today? Like, why after 57 years are we going back to the moon?
Okay, well, I think it's a great plan. The Artemis mission is just going to put us back into space, doing what we humans do best, kind of exploring around. Today's mission is the first human crewed mission after an exploratory launch from the Artemis 1 rocket. So it's really exciting that we're, stepping out there again.
Can you tell us about the Artemis series, Professor? So Artemis 1 apparently was an unmanned mission. This one is a 10-day mission, as I understand it, where astronauts will not land on the moon, but they will actually go around through the back, what we call the dark side of the moon, if you're a Pink Floyd fan, and see an area that really hasn't been viewed historically, and then come back. So in terms of the progression of this Artemis mission, what does this mission mean?
This is a great question. We sent Artemis 1 out there to kind of get a feel without risking humans, but we're ready. Artemis 2 is going to be a flyby, as you said, the far side of the moon, and we are going to expect some testing of the various systems and the navigation before the actual landing. The actual landing will be not Artemis 3, but Artemis 4 in 2028. We still have some testing to do, and I kind of a kid in the Apollo times, And Apollo was similar to this. We sent a couple missions out to the moon with humans before actually touching down. So that's what's going on here with Artemis 2. Just part of the process, just being safe.
What is the timeline for launch, and is there anything that would cause it to be scrubbed?
Ooh, that's a great question, and I'd have to defer to the folks at NASA for that one. I'm looking at a 4:24 Mountain Time launch today, and I'll just be watching, hoping all goes well. All signs are real positive, so I'm thinking all's well.
Besides just general interest in going to the moon, we haven't been there in some 50-some-odd years. What do you suppose is our interest, maybe nationally and maybe internationally, with going back to the moon now?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We have an opportunity to explore our solar system. The kind of formal goal of the Artemis mission is to set up a human presence longer term on the moon, just test out our ability to get out there in the universe. And it's a step toward moving out to Mars and who knows, beyond in the distant human future. So I think that's the real driver is human exploration of space. We are explorers. We're doing our part there. Of course, there are lots of technological benefits. For me, it's all about inspiration. We can do technologically complicated things. So, yeah, let's do it. Dream big.
I'm wondering if you see this as a moment to bring people together. Are you having your own watch party?
I'm not, but I'll be there with many other viewers, just watching it. I do think that this is a real great event to kind of celebrate all of us and for all of us to celebrate together. This is really cool.
Professor Bromley, can you tell our listeners, in terms of the Artemis mission itself, and you mentioned a human presence on the moon, what would that look like? I mean, it's much more than a small step for man, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it's really, really fascinating. Well, ultimately, Artemis will allow us to set up a base camp on the lunar South Pole, and we will explore opportunities for sustaining life. There may be ice in the shadows of craters on the lunar South Pole that we can use for water. We can produce fuel from it and oxygen to sustain us. So this will be really, really interesting to see how we can adapt to this otherwise pretty hostile environment.
Is that something that is in the long range plan of this Artemis mission, that part of, and I don't know how many missions they have planned. Certainly Apollo had maybe almost 20. I don't remember. Certainly got past 15. But is there a long-term plan to Artemis to get people on the moon on number 4, set up a presence down the road, or do we know yet?
I'm not sure. I looked into that to see if there was anything concrete. I think the real plan, at least for now, is to get us onto the surface of the moon again, which would be great, and then begin to understand what our options are and opportunities going forward. And the goal of Artemis, it's sort of in the hardest sense, is to make sure we're doing this on a regular basis, that we have a mission every year to keep this whole process moving forward.
And what I've read about this, Professor Bromley, is that the astronauts are going to take 2 laps around the Earth first and then go to the moon. It takes about 3 or 4 days to get there, go around the moon, and then come back. Why the laps around the Earth? Is that just to kind of make sure everything's working okay?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was looking at that too. They'll spend about a day doing what you said, just making sure all systems are operating as expected and as they require for a successful mission. Yeah, so they'll take their time up front, and then 4 days. it's quite a trip in sort of a small space.
All right, thank you so much. That was Professor Ben Bromley, astronomy and physics at the University of Utah. I just wanted to let our listeners know that there is a watch party at the Clark Planetarium. It's a free event. It's open. They're opening their doors at 4 p.m. And I think the launch is 4:42, I think is the official number. And then there are, you need to know this, special Artemis-themed refreshments available on a first-come, first-served basis.
That's interesting. Yeah,
it just sounds fun,
it's a lot
right?
of fun.
It sounds like
really
a lot of fun.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be. I mean, I hope a lot of people watch it. I hope it's televised. It almost certainly will be. And I hope it's a success because I think from what I've heard, part of the purpose of this mission is to get the astronauts there, get them around the moon, and bring them back, and show that we can do that. That's why the first one was unmanned. That we can still do that. It is interesting to me, just from not having a great technological background, that we did it 57 years ago, but this now we're taking this baby steps. You know what I mean? Where an unmanned mission, a lap around the moon, another lap where we do something, and then it'll be the fourth mission before they actually land on the moon.
Well, and I was struck that they want to use it as a base eventually to be able to go to Mars.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars, and let me see what spring is like on.
We'll be right back.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. Several questions are left unanswered after the resignation of Washington County Sheriff Nate Brooksby. KSL News Radio's Cameron Elliott has the details.
An anonymous letter to the Washington County Commission triggered this sequence of events, according to the St. George News. The letter apparently detailed wrongdoings by the sheriff's office as well as with Sheriff Brooksby himself. It was forwarded to the county attorney's office and the Utah Attorney General's office, and neither of them agreed to investigate the claims, but the county commission did say they would be conducting an independent investigation. Washington County commissioners say they informed Brooksby of the allegations and planned investigation, and he promptly offered his resignation, accompanied by a request for severance.
According to the St. George News, the agreement was signed the same day with a $100,000 severance attached. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. 4 NASA astronauts are now suiting up as they prepare for launch just hours away now. The historic mission will send four astronauts further into space than humans have traveled.
This is also the first moon mission in more than 50 years, so in a sense, NASA kind of reconnecting to that lunar legacy, but they're also looking forward. You know, they're hoping that this paves the way to future Artemis missions. They're also hoping this paves the way for potentially a permanent base on the moon, and potentially even humans on Mars one day.
ABC's Mola Lange is at the Kennedy Space Center. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 447 points. The S&P is up 79. And coming up, rain continues. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
At IFA, our mission is to support our customers' passion for the rural and Western lifestyle. Whether you have a small garden or acres of farmland, a few backyard chickens or hundreds of cattle, our feed, farm supply, and agronomy experts are here to help. And we've been doing it better than anyone else for more than 100 years now. Stop by one of our stores today or visit us online at ifa.coop and get the kind of service and support for your lifestyle. IFA, helping you grow the things you love.
Gold demand is skyrocketing to record highs. As more Americans rush to preserve their savings, will there be enough gold? I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and I believe physical gold is the only way to truly protect your 401k or IRA savings. Gold offers tangible security that can't be tracked, stolen, or inflated. That's why I strongly advocate for gold IRAs. To learn more, text the word SECURE to 989898 now. Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust, and their thousands of great reviews prove I'm not alone. So don't wait another second. Protect your retirement savings today and see how easy it is to move your IRA or 401k into physical precious metals. Text SECURE to to the number 989898 for your free Gold IRA info kit. Again, secure to 989898.
Message and data rates may apply.
My friend Joey loves to use old familiar sayings.
You know what they say?
The problem is,
Don't look at a gift horse, cause you can't make them drink.
he gets a lot of them mixed up.
People who live in glass houses
Here it comes.
shouldn't cry over spilt milk.
There are also a lot of sayings in the financial world, like, you'll pay lower taxes in retirement. But for many people, it's just not true. You may have done a great job saving in that 401k or IRA, but Uncle Sam is ready to grab a big portion of that money. The team at Galileo Wealth Management can help with strategies that you can start now to lower your tax bill in the future. More for you and less for Uncle Sam.
Or as they say, an apple a day is worth two in the bush.
Get the facts on your tax bill in retirement. Call Galileo Wealth today at 385-247-7000. It's 385-247-7000 or online at GalileoWealth.com.
And remember, a stitch in time keeps the doctor away. It does, you know.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU, love where you bank. Here's Cormac Bone.
A calm drive on I-15 in the midday hour, but we do have a crash on I-215's west belt at the I-80 interchange. Well, it's actually the cleanup of a crash. They moved the semi that had gone into the median, and now they've got a crane out there because they are working to move those concrete medians back into place. So that's why you have heavy delays both directions on I-215's west belt at the I-80 interchange. We also have emergency maintenance after a crash early this morning on Geneva Road in Provo. In Orem. Both directions of Geneva Road are closed near University Parkway. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Highs in the 50s over the next few days. We'll see scattered showers the rest of today and tomorrow, and then it's sunny skies and rising temperatures. Right now, 47 and rainy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com, we're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
As we get closer to this weekend, Greg, we're going to see more and more people trying to get into downtown. I think parking is going to be an issue as the General Conference for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints takes place over Saturday and Sunday. And what I want our listeners to know is that in between these sessions, we've got some special stuff going on.
Including one that you and I did.
Yes, including one that you and I did.
We talked to Amanda Dixon earlier today about hers.
She'll have hers on radio. Yep. And KSL TV's Dan Rascone will have a special on TV this weekend about Brazil's rising generation.
Dan, thanks for joining us this morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Great to be with you. This is pretty exciting documentary here. I got a chance to be able to follow the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square down to Brazil. And they put on a whole week long of concerts and everything like that. But we also did some behind-the-scenes stories, captured some of the things that were happening outside of these concerts. And one of the big things there is the youth movement among Latter-day Saints is just pretty incredible, where they're having these huge concerts and other activities where thousands of kids are showing up and they're coming together and they're just being able to kind of draw strength from each other. And so this documentary, kind of the Brazil Rising Generation, really captures just the amazing quality of youth that they have there in Brazil and what they're doing to be able to help one another and build each other up and provide hope and, confidence with each other and also change hearts. And so that's what it's going to be airing this week on Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock on KSL TV. And it's a half-hour documentary. It also showcases the choir and these amazing concerts that they put on there in Brazil. We're in Sao Paulo all week long there. They had 4 different major concerts, and just the quality of the concerts and the artists that they brought on. And I mean, they brought on some real high quality artists that were just, one of the ladies that walked on, Ivete Sangalo, she walked on stage. You would think Taylor Swift just came out on stage. It was the stadium, the arena just went crazy. And so anyway, it's just kind of a really fun, lively type of a documentary showcasing just the power of music and the youth that are making a difference there.
Dan, what can you tell our listeners about the youth going down there and what you've learned about this youth movement? It sounds pretty exciting. And actually, kind of what even attracted you to that?
You know, what was really interesting is, first of all, we were following the choir down there anyway. I've had the fortunate opportunity to be able to go to several different places with the choir on their world tour stops. This was world tour stop number 6. I mean, they've been to Philippines, Argentina, Lima, Peru, and all these other places. So we were going to Brazil anyway to follow them. And as part of that, we wanted to kind of capture, well, what's happening here in Brazil among, the Latter-day Saints and maybe some interesting stories here. And we got connected on this youth movement and kind of these young artists that are just what's happened here is you have several young, very talented artists that they've put together the music numbers that the church produces, and then they hold these concerts, and some of the video you'll see, I mean, there are thousands of kids coming out. I mean, one of the concerts is along a beach there, and there are thousands of kids showing up for that event. Now, we've heard of FSY here in the States, and there's FSY everywhere, these youth conferences, and they have the similar events there, but they take them to a whole nother level with these youth concerts and these youth performers that are just making a huge difference. And they are also they're performing in their own ways in other things, doing plays and other, putting basically music albums together and those kind of things. And so it's really cool to be able to see what some of these Latter-day Saint youth are doing to be able to help others out.
Dan, I wonder if you know how many members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are there in Brazil, maybe how many youth?
Well, this is, first of all, a huge country, obviously. It's the largest country in South America. It's the third largest as far as membership for the church worldwide. So you're looking at about 1.5 million members in Brazil alone. And so they're just, and obviously Brazil's a huge country. In the city itself of Sao Paulo, you're looking at 12 million people alone just in the city. So this is a huge area and very populous area. And so the youth movement is really having a great effect on bringing others into the church. We talked to some missionaries, we talked to some other youth and some of these young artists about, the effects of the music and what's happening. And it really is neat to be able to see the power of what they're doing and how it's spreading.
Dan, I've never been to Brazil, and I suppose a lot of our listeners haven't. What was your overall take on the country and the city of Sao Paulo? It sounds huge. It also, my personal, just what I've understood about Brazil is it's just a really beautiful place to be.
It really is. I mean, Brazil is everything that you see. I mean, basically, it's beautiful, it's colorful, it's the people are very diverse. I mean, it's a lot like a melting pot there in Brazil, where you have people from all different nationalities coming together, and really it's just a lively place as far as the people are very friendly, but there's also a lot of people, and so the traffic, you think our traffic's bad here. It doesn't even think of the worst of the worst. I mean, it took us, sometimes 4 hours to get, 30 miles away or something like that. It was just, you can imagine that many people, but the place is just a beautiful country, and it has issues and problems just like everything. But the concerts, what were neat about having the Tabernacle Choir there, it really offered, these of course are free concerts, it offered just a place for people to come and be able to enjoy and feel the goodness of the songs of hope. That's kind of what the concerts are, that's what they're titled, the Songs of Hope. And so they sold out the arena every night. I mean, it was just thousands of people lining up outside hours ahead of time to try and get inside. And so it really was a neat opportunity for the choir to be there. The last time they were in Brazil was about 45 years ago. And so this was just a lot of excitement among Latter-day Saints and even others of other faiths and other political walks of life and everything came to the concert, and they just were just filled with just emotion and goodness, really enjoying what they heard and what they saw.
Dan, I understand that Elder Ulysses Suarez was also there, and he's originally from Brazil. Did you have an opportunity to observe him at all?
Yes, I had a chance to be able to sit down with Elder Suarez and have a one-on-one interview with him. he was so excited. It was so neat to see because he's like, this is like paradise for me to be able to get assigned to the Tabernacle Choir in Brazil, in my home country. He said he was there 45 years ago when the choir came. Obviously, he was a very young man at that time. And to be able to see the choir come back to his home country, and then now he's an apostle and he is following the choir, it was just really neat to be able to hear his thoughts. One thing he did talk about, though, too, was the youth movement and the youth and how they're making a difference among the elderly people there. But at the same time, one of the people that we interviewed there said, you know, the youth compromise, when you think of youth, we're not just talking about 12 to 18 years. You know, we're talking 15 or 12 to 45-year-olds, you know, people that are just young in heart, that are seeking for something good and some goodness. And so really the traction of the choir was not just an old people choir. This was an event that brought people of all ages in there to be able to enjoy music from all different genres and be able to have people experience, you know, something exciting and uplifting for them.
Dan, we got about 30 seconds left, but given all the tension in the world right now and feelings about Americans, maybe internationally, did you feel that the Tabernacle Choir was well received?
I felt like they were very well received. We went to one concert, it was more of a private concert for dignitaries and political leaders and business leaders and everything, and everybody just seemed very welcoming, and we didn't find anyone that, even when we were out on the streets or anything like that, that were talks negative of Americans or anything like that. So we were very well received. The choir was very well received. A great event.
Thank you so much for joining us. That was Dan Rascone with KSL TV Channel 5. It will be broadcast this special Shining Bright, Brazil's Rising Generation, will be on KSL 5 at 1 o'clock on Sunday. When we come back, we managed to go 3 full hours without being pranked on April Fools.
That we know of.
That we know of. You can text us at 57500 if you've been pranked by April Fools today, and we'll be back to close out the show with your texts, fun facts, and Greg's closing arguments.
Andy, I like that shirt. Is that a new shirt?
It is. It's from Ann Collar, and it's really rare to find a shirt that looks good and is super comfortable. And this is a fabric unlike anything I've ever felt.
I got one for my husband and my sons, and watching my 19-year-old put on the Ann Collar shirt and sort of check himself out in the mirror, I thought, wow, he's really digging that. And I can understand why, because it's not just comfortable, it's stain repellent, which I needed.
Oh, my goodness, something.
He attracts spaghetti sauce to shirts like you would not believe. And with these Ann Collar shirts, I can get it out.
I have to wear a special bib when I eat spaghetti with a white shirt on. But with Ann Collar shirts, it takes those little tiny nicks and stains, and they don't stick to you. Yeah, you don't have to dump a bucket of stuff on you, but it would repel that too.
You've got to try one. So whether it's the traditional white shirt or any of the patterns they have, it's Ann Collar, and they're made right here in Utah.
If you've never tried Ann Collar before, we have got permission to give you 15% off at andcollar.com and go get your first. Use the code KSL15.
That's Ann Collar, ANDcollar.com.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
One Kind Act a Day is a program from the Semnani Family Foundation. One Kind Act a Day seeks to create kinder communities by inspiring daily acts of deliberate kindness. Their work includes programs in schools, businesses, communities, faith groups, and prisons where they help enhance the culture of kindness and increase a sense of community. The world always needs more kindness. No matter what our background or beliefs are, kindness towards others and ourselves is something that everyone can get behind. Kindness can be big or small, but the ripple effect can reach out in ways that we don't even realize. Wouldn't life be better if we were all a little more kind? You can do your part by starting today. All it takes is one kind act a day. Find out more and take the pledge of kindness at thepowerofkind.org. That's thepowerofkind.org.
Imagine a world where you can leave the house
and take your home Wi-Fi speeds with you. Thanks to Xfinity Mobile, it's not just a fantasy. Just picture it. You're at your kid's soccer practice streaming the other game in 4K. Just like that. In the airport, download a cozy family comedy in a snap with Wi-Fi Power Boost. What if the places you had to be felt more like everywhere you wanted to be? That's the magic of Xfinity Mobile. Reliable Wi-Fi and 5G when you need it. Xfinity. Imagine that. Cut your mobile bill in half with 2 lines of unlimited. Visit xfinitymobile.com to learn more. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Internet required. Savings based on promotional rate for 2 lines of Xfinity Mobile Unlimited versus regular rates for 2 lines of T-Mobile Experience More, Verizon Unlimited Plus, and AT&T Starter as of 2/10/26. Taxes, fees, extra after promo. Regular rates apply. Xfinity. Imagine that.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. SwitchPoint, which started in St. George, Utah, has grown into a statewide movement meeting the needs of those facing housing insecurity. Through shelter, housing, case management, and support services, they're helping neighbors rebuild their lives. CEO Carol Hollowell joins us with more.
11 years ago, we met a man on the street who simply needed a photo ID. That single encounter sparked what is now Utah's largest statewide provider of homeless and poverty services. At SwitchPoint, we believe only one thing truly solves homelessness: a home. But a home without support services doesn't stick. So we wrap housing with everything people need: emergency shelter, food pantries, case management, programs for teens and youth, and 6 social enterprises that fund our mission while training our clients. Today, we operate more than 13 sites with nearly 400 employees across Utah. Right now, our most urgent focus is a crisis hiding in plain sight: senior homelessness, which has increased by 42%, with veteran homelessness up 36%. That's a double-digit rise among the very people who helped build this community. It takes all of us, and we're grateful to stand together in addressing it.
By empowering those in need, addressing the root causes of poverty, and providing critical homeless services, SwitchPoint is creating meaningful change here in Utah. Learn more about their mission and impact at switchpoint.org. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
You reminded me as we went to the break that it is April Fool's Day. I had not thought about it. And so I'll tell you my first thought. We're not really going to the moon. It's all an April Fool's joke. But I'm watching the TV. I'm watching 4 screens. They all have the astronauts, so I'm assuming it's legit.
They're all
taking
in on
off in
it.
about 4.5 hours. So yeah, that's not an April
gosh.
Fool's joke.
So I actually used to enjoy April Fools when it was funny, and now I don't enjoy them nearly as much because I can't tell as much anymore when I'm looking online. It's like, oh, that looks like a news report. Doggone it. It's not real.
Yeah,
So
I get pranked once a year. I fall for it all the time, and I don't do it myself. I don't like to. I don't for the same reason you just mentioned. I don't like to fool people. I just feel like you fall into a trap, and then it's like, ugh.
I know. So there are some April Fool's pranks that people love or hate, and of course there are people who are saying, look, please be sensitive about the pranking about pregnancy tests, because there's a lot of people for whom that's very painful.
Yeah.
But there are some ideas here. You can rearrange your fridge in a completely illogical way, right? It just confuses people a little bit if they open the door and things aren't where they can find them. You can do swapping your slippers or your shoes so that when you're walking, it feels wrong. I usually check before I put my feet in. And then you could do a thin thread. You tie it to like a TV remote and then you move it. When somebody's looking away. I'll just say that happens at my house all the time, and there's no thread needed. The remote just walks away by itself.
So because of this show, I get home about 3 or 4 hours before my wife, and I'm going to organize the fridge. I'm going to mess with her because she's really like, well, she wants everything in its place. So what the heck? I'm going to make a mess of it.
Oh my goodness. So it's one of the things that I thought was interesting about April Fool's Day is this became a thing a really long time ago. It was 1700 1700 that April Fool's Day pranks were popularized. So that really surprised me. And now, any kind of breaking news, like why would you have a Supreme Court hearing on April Fool's Day? Like you can't believe anything that they're saying.
Right? Yeah, I never thought about that. I wasn't really in tune with the whole April Fool's thing today, but it was and it is, and they are going to the moon. And we did have Supreme Court arguments on birthright citizenship, and we'll get. Hopefully both of those will turn out in a way that people like it at the end of the day. We won't know about the Supreme Court till June, but we'll know about the moon launch in a couple of hours, and we'll know if it was successful in as few as 10 days. It only takes that long to circle the Earth twice, get to the moon, and come back.
I know. All right, I'm going to tell you some other fun facts about April 1st. So in 1748, and I didn't realize it had been this long, but in 1748 they were discovered. So they'd been buried by Vesuvius, the eruption, 1,700 years earlier, but they are still uncovering not only remains, but they're uncovering parts of the city still, like it's ongoing. So
it's hard to imagine something so immense, something so catastrophic that it actually buries an entire civilization.
Yeah.
For
immediately for 1,700 years.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's just an incredible amount of force.
It was found by a farmer. Remember, he was like plowing his field and ran into the tops of some buildings, and they're like, "Wait, what?" So yes, for sure. So that's super interesting. And I've been to Pompeii. It's been a long time. Like I want to say close to 45 plus years, but it was super cool when I was there. I really enjoyed it. On this day in 1919, speaking of General Conference, it was delayed. LDS General Conference was delayed due to a pandemic. So when it happened in 2020, it just went virtual.
What was a pandemic in 1918?
It's the flu. Yeah, the
influenza.
flu epidemic. Yep, pandemic. It was a pandemic.
And 100 years later.
Yep.
101 years later, we had
Yeah.
Interesting.
So in 1945, U.S. troops landed on Okinawa in the largest amphibious assault in the Pacific theater for World War II. And sad news from that, so it began on April 1st, 1945. More than 49,000 U.S. casualties resulted from that battle.
That's hard to even imagine.
Yeah.
That was such a devastating conflict. And anytime we're at war, you just think about the loss of life. But 49,000, you can't even keep track of that.
And then I still have a couple more. So 1946, an Alaskan earthquake triggered massive tsunami waves that killed 159 people in Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
So the Alaskan
Talk about the earth, right?
earthquake, right, caused a tsunami to kill people in Hawaii.
It's Natural Disaster Remembrance Day.
It's got to be. I know. Well, no, I have one more.
Oh,
in 2014, an 8.2 earthquake hit Chile. And
I remember that.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
That was massive, too.
Now, there's one more final fun fact. It was on this day in 1976 that Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs began a little company in Steve Jobs' parents' garage. Apple Computer.
You're
It's
kidding.
50 years old today, started in a garage.
Who would have thought?
I know, right?
Who would have thought?
They probably didn't think that
Yeah.
it would end up in the way it has, right?
Yeah, 50 years. I wonder what it was 50 years ago. I mean, they start this company and they've got these great ideas, and that company has changed the world.
It has
absolutely changed the world.
Yeah, it for sure has. And comeback stories, right? I mean, Steve Jobs was fired from Apple and then came back, and I mean, he passed away. It's been a while because of pancreatic cancer, I think. But he was a college dropout, and Wozniak was a Hewlett-Packard employee. They started with each had a 45% stake in this new company, and it was very shaky, but they made bank. All right, what are your closing arguments for us?
I've been intrigued by this moon mission. I really am, and I just want to say, technology changes all the time. You know, we dropped a bomb, atomic bomb, back in the 40s. I don't remember exactly what it was. And nations around the world are still trying to build one. You think of the technology we had then, and people are still trying to get to that now. The same with the moon launch. It was 57 years ago. You would think we would have progressed and gone to Mars and gone to something else. But we're going back to the moon, and we're kind of doing it in baby steps because it's the kind of thing that you can't fail at. You can't fail. This mission is so important, and I was reading something about it. The goal of this mission, and I know this will sound terrible, is to bring them home alive, is to have the astronauts go around the moon and come back.
Yep.
Because we had a ship, an unmanned ship, go and do what it needed to do, and it came back safely. Now we're having a manned ship go. And so I think this whole Artemis mission, and I appreciated our guest that we had earlier talking about it, is fascinating to me. And I'll be glued to the TV tonight watching it, because we're going to perhaps establish a human presence on the moon. Can you imagine that? Probably in our lifetime. I mean, it's something that's eminent. They're going to establish something on the South Pole. And I read also that that's a precursor maybe to Mars, that they can establish that. They can build a nuclear facility there. They can have housing there. They might find water there. They can have people hanging out on the moon. I mean, I want to see that. I want to see that in my lifetime. So I'm excited about this mission, and I'm excited about watching it go, and I hope that it's a success. I mean, I just hope it's a huge success. And I'm glad that it's a multinational mission. One of the astronauts is from Canada.
Right.
I would think that maybe we get one from China in the future, or one from Russia. I really do think that should be the future of space travel, that we work together. Because if you think of the technology we have just here in the United States, and I know that countries don't like to share, but man, if you can imagine getting the best and the brightest of the scientists from all the big countries together and say, hey, let's do something big. Let's go to Mars. I think we could do it tomorrow. Unfortunately, we're sort of protective of our own little environment here. But yeah, I'm excited about the moon launch. I'll be watching that. And I think it's a real exciting time for our country, and a very happy thing that's happening right now.
It is something good to be happy about. And yes, I think that it's real. So I don't think it's an April Fool's joke.
April Fool's joke.
All right. Well, that's it for us today. Midday with Maria Chelios is up next with more on this significant development that DNA has confirmed Ted Bundy did kill a Utah teen who went missing in 1974. She'll have more on that when KSL comes back after that.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.